First, to my left, we've got Jaskar Malhotra, captain of the UMMC Knight Riders. Sami Aslam from the Atlanta Fire. Sami's got the coin as the home captain today. This is the call. Sami, you've won the toss. What are you going to be doing?
We'll be bowling first.
You've done that, pretty often in this tournament. Why is that something that you like to do as captain?
Like, we wanted to bat in this game, but the pitch is fresh. Like, we were using the other pitch in the first two games, so that's why it's a fresh pitch. So we want to bowl first and see how the pitch reacts.
How happy were you with the way your batting lineup went about things, chasing on that 200 pretty convincingly in the last matchup?
Yeah, the batting is doing well. I think in the first game as well, we went well and was there to win the game. I think we need a little bit of more consistent bowling in the right areas to restrict the other team.
And any changes to your team?
Yeah, we have 3 changes today. So Usman Rafiq has gone for the USA team, so he's not playing. Bhaskar has been rested, and then Kore has been rested. And Brody, Matthew, and Dominic Ricky are playing their game.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
Let's get Jaskar Malhotra. Jaskar, had won the toss, a new pitch, what would you have done?
I would have bowled first as well, fresh conditions, but I'm happy either way. Looks like a good wicket, and hopefully our batters can put up a good score.
In the last game, your bowling attack really came to the fore. You guys have been unstoppable in this competition. What has been the key to your success?
As you can see, like our team, the mantra of our team has been like we play as a unit, and a lot of the guys who have been playing with us for a long time, so we keep our core group, and that's the key to our success. We try and stick together.
Any changes?
We have the same team.
All the best to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there you have it then from the middle. You could say pretty expected. New deck, fresh green grass. Sami Aslam, the Atlanta Fire captain, has opted to bowl. And we bring you straight into the action in this MLC Champions Open. Match number 5, the UMMC Knight Riders up against the Atlanta Fire. As you just heard, Sami Aslam and the Fire winning the toss. On pitch number 3, a fresh surface, corner dry, with the new ball in hand. Instantly starts back of the length. Noman Anwar is underway, much like the UMMC Knight Riders, who are the only team to be undefeated in this tournament. Brian Walters alongside me. Brian, they've been a force to be reckoned with in this competition.
Good morning, Nikhil. I don't want to break my back or break my arm patting myself on the back, but you did ask me the question 2 days ago. Who did I think was the team who was going to end up on top? I'm pretty sure we can go back and check the tape. Pretty sure I said the UMMC Knight Riders. Really impressive team so far, top to bottom.
Be interesting now to see how Corner Dry goes about things. He's had an up and down sort of competition in these first 2 matches. The Fire have made 3 changes. They brought in some of that young exuberance in a Matthew Trump, who I'm excited to get a look at, a Houston native. They've also brought back in the Australian Brody Couch, who has that Big Bash experience. So on a surface like this, where you have that live green grass, brand new surface, could be a bit tricky for the UMMC Knight Riders early on. And I think with the new ball, he's very hard to score against when he hits that length corner dry, but he has to find it consistently.
I think you're exactly right. And at the toss, obviously, excuse me, the Atlanta Fire winning the toss and choosing to bowl, which I think is pretty much what you'd expect. A brand new pitch. Looking at it beforehand, there's a certain amount of green, and you mentioned live grass on the pitch, so you expect some sideaway movement. The wind is not as much a factor today, coming from the northeast, blowing to the southwest. So from your screen, top right to bottom left. Naman Anwar just flicking at one behind square for a single, but I think you mentioned the 2 who've come in, Matthew Trump and Brody Couch. We saw Brody Couch the first day, bowled with pace, but I think both line and length were off, and so he was a bit expensive. I'd be interested to see, obviously, somebody who comes with a great deal of fanfare, if he can pull that back and be more of the bowler that we were expecting him to be. And then Matthew Trump, the South African native who these days lives in Austin, Texas with his family. Excited to see him in action also.
Almost got a tickle on it, Ulmuk Chan. It's so, I think, enterprising to see the difference in corner dry from the respective ends, because in these first 5 deliveries, you're seeing he's right on the money, looks like he's in a good rhythm, and it's threatening much like we saw in that first matchup when he bowled from that northern end. But in the last game, he went to over 12 runs and over. I think, again, it presents that challenge of running into the wind, and it really tests you as a seamer. So that will be something to watch, especially if he goes on and bowls in the death overs and does come back from this southern end. End of this first over, a good one for the Fire. 3 for none. So if you're now joining us, the Atlanta Fire winning the toss, opting to bowl first. No real surprise there. And Brian, when you analyze the 4 matches we've had prior to today, 3 of the 4 of them have been won by teams chasing. What do you think we can pull from that?
A couple of things. First of all, I think generally conditions get easier for batting as the day goes on. In the morning, there's a bit of moisture. Here in Houston, it's relatively humid, so there's a bit of moisture around first thing in the morning. When the pitch has the opportunity to be under the sun, the bright spring sun here in Houston, it tends to flatten out a little bit and conditions get better or easier for batting. And also, these teams, I think many of them are constructed in such a way that they like knowing what the target is that they need to go after, and then have a more, I guess, measured approach in being able to overhaul that target. Not surprising to me that teams that are chasing have that opportunity to go ahead, and most of them have won in exactly that fashion.
Brody Couch into the attack. Getting some good carry early on. I think especially expected for the morning games, especially to see the teams chasing winning, because it does tend to be a bit tacky. Ball not really coming onto the bat. As you mentioned, that sort of moisture. You get a lot of dew in Houston. So even with the covers on, you would get that sweating, etc. So it's one of the most fascinating things about this game of cricket, Brian, the external factors that teams have to contend with. Again, another good delivery. Smith Patel is a far way back, almost touching the 30-yard circle. So it tells you that Brody Couch is in a good sort of pattern to start things in his first 2 deliveries.
Well, when he came in the first day of the tournament on Sunday, he'd only been here in the country for a relatively short period of time. He looks like a different bowler based on these first 2 deliveries. Bowling with much more pace, much more venom, and more along the lines of what he's reputed to be. First time laying eyes on him. I'm impressed with what I've seen from these first 2 deliveries.
Straight to the man and taken. And the first wicket for the Fire. Looks like a good toss to win. Actually raced to him, Saif Badar at point, but he held on well. Early success.
Wow. So as I said, looking much more dangerous, looking much more threatening. The attempted cut shot, I think Norman Anwar just got that one a little too straight. He's looking to play that square. I think he's looking to play that through backward point, but ends up just playing a pretty tame shot in the end, straight to that man on the 30-yard circle at cover. So the first wicket goes down, pretty straightforward catch. And I think Brody Couch now showing that he is the type of bowler that matches his reputation. In other words, he can come in, hit the deck hard, sometimes beat the batters for pace. You mentioned how far back Smith Patel was standing, almost on the 30-yard circle. And he really does look the part after these first 3 deliveries. We're 3 for 1.
Apologize for that break in transmission. Just trying to rectify that for you. But it seemed like it got a bit of extra bounce. Norman Anwar tried to ride the bounce. You see him have to actually jump to play that delivery, and probably ended up to his detriment, hitting it straight to the man. So it brings Angelo Pereira, the Sri Lankan. Haven't seen a lot of him with the bat in hand because the Knight Riders' batting lineup have been so dominant. So an opportunity for him now to sort of show the scouts, remember, this is MLC Champions Open taking place with the goal of impressing for Sunday's mega draft, first of its kind. And of course, the first season of the Major League happening later this year. So a lot at stake in these 4 matches remaining in this MLC Champions Open. Brody Couch will be happy with that. A wicket early will help his confidence. Can he get another? slip in place. Goes very full this time. There is something, especially on this surface, against the left-handers. So that's something to watch when you do have some of those left-handers coming in. I realize from both ends, Brian, there's a lot more green grass sort of outside that off stump for the lefties especially.
Notice the same thing. And I'm going to go back to Brody Couch. Look where that ball, look at the carry that he's getting, and look even from short of a length where Smith Patel is collecting these deliveries. That one dying just a little bit, but I think just more than anything else, he's bowling with a lot more fire and a lot more venom. And he really looks as if he's coming in and hitting the deck hard. Went to school on what he did wrong yesterday, or I'm sorry, the first day of the tournament on Sunday. And so far, based on what we can see, he's in the right areas and asking the questions from a good short of a length, type of a length, and then on that off-stump line, nothing loose so far from him in his first 5 balls.
Similar delivery to the one he got the wicket, but instead, Angelo Pereira finds the gap. And it's the first boundary also for the UMMC Knight Riders. That will help in terms of their quest of putting a defendable total on the board.
Yeah, just in looking at the replay, just a little, gets the line wrong. The length is that attacking length that he's been bowling so far, but the line rather was well outside the line of off stump. And no question that somebody like an Angelo Pereira, the former Sri Lankan international, is able to cash in on those types of loose deliveries.
The UMMC Knight Riders, the only undefeated team in this MLC Champions Open. We've had 4 matches. The Fire won their last match, chased down 200 in 18 overs, made it look very simple. Got a really good start through Sami Aslam and Mukhtar Ahmed. That'll be something to watch. Corner Dry is going to get a second over.
It'll be interesting to see how Angelo Pereira does here. The opening pair of Naman Anwar and Unmukt Chand generally have done very well throughout the tournament. So when batters 3, 4, and 5 come in, they've sort of been able to play with a certain amount of freedom. In fact, Captain Jaskaran Malhotra has put himself at that number 3 position, usually coming in at the fall of the first wicket. That usually happened somewhere in the 7th, 8th, or 9th over. So there was a lot more freedom. This time, with an early wicket falling, look to see whether or not Angelo Pereira can sort of settle the ship, if you will, and then be able to build towards an imposing total. But they do have a good batting lineup. They bat relatively deep. So I'm interested to see whether or not that approach carries well for them here.
There is a man there. There is a man there and taken. And it's a second for the Atlanta Fire, who have been on fire to start this game with the ball in hand. And almost the perfect element of bowling to your field.
Wow. So short at the body, intentionally bowled short by Corner Dry. The trap was set, that man at deep backward square leg. And looking at the replay, it's not really a full-blooded pull, more of helping it off his hips, but carrying straight to that man down there on the boundary. So Angelo Pereira, after I said I was interested in seeing whether or not he could steady the ship and bat on, he perishes due to a good piece of bowling by Corner Dry. So on the attack right now, Atlanta Fire choosing to make sure that the decision to bat or to bowl first is one that has reaped rewards. So far, it has reaped rewards. Score is 9 for 2.
2 early wickets, deep trouble for the unbeaten Knight Riders. What would have also helped Dry was the wind. It would have probably carried it a bit extra straight to that fielder. Almost misjudged it down to that deep backward square boundary. Zia Shazad did well to hold on in the end. Brings Nitish Kumar to the middle. A lot earlier than he would have batted in those first 2 matches.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because I did think that he misjudged it. The wind carried it, because looking at where we are, our vantage point is directly square of where he is, Zia Shazad. And he actually came in several steps and then had to sort of jump to make sure that he took that cleanly. Had he stayed where he was back on the rope, that would have hit him maybe right at chest height. But the important thing is that he holds on to the catch. So even with the wind, which made that a little bit of a difficult catch, still able to put it away pretty easily.
Work to be done. Some rebuild needed for the Knight Riders. Can Nitish Kumar be the man to do it? They do have Unmuk Chan at the other end, but he's only faced 3 deliveries. Hasn't seen much of the strike. And you want to maximize these power play overs especially. You want someone like Unmuk Chan, who's dominated the power play in this tournament, to be facing the majority of deliveries. 2 scores of 43 and 35. But he's been at the non-striker's end for a while.
Only faced 3 deliveries and we're into the 3rd over, so has not yet had the chance to capitalize on the field restriction overs. No question that so far the power play is going the way of the Atlanta Fire.
Indecision, direct hit. Could have been gone. The dive, though, saves him. No, so they don't hit the stumps, but clearly some miscommunication between the two.
Boy, a direct hit there. I think he's gone on Mukchand. I think he's gone by probably a yard. Don't know if we'll have the opportunity to see that replay, but I think that dive might have been in vain had that been a direct hit. Looking to dive and regain his ground at the non-striker's end on Mukchand. I think he would have been gone had that hit. That just, I think, indicative of the type of pressure that's now building up on the UMMC Knight Riders.
Goes short this time. He has timed it so well, Nitish Kumar, and with the win, assisting it to go all the way for 6. First maximum of the day.
Definitely the wind assisted that. Now, in terms of the pace at which the ball got to Nitish Kumar, it sort of surprised them. That came off of the top edge, well behind square. So to me, that's an indication that the ball rushed on him. But once it got up into the air, the wind is able to easily carry it over the ropes. So looking at where the ball landed, probably a good 10 or 12 yards past the ropes. So fortuitous, but you'll definitely take that 6 if you're the UMMC Knight Riders.
There is that fielder at deep backward square, so the placement had to be pristine. Much fuller length this time. Brian, how much do you think the scouts from the respective teams of the Major League will be taking these matches and performances into account in terms of their selections on Sunday?
Well, I would think that it would be a multi-pronged strategy. Number one, you have to go with what, let's say, what the players already have on film. Go with what their reputation is and what they've done in the minor leagues so far, not to mention their careers before they started playing in the minor leagues. But certainly you want to, when they are looking at the eye test has to play a certain part in what they're thinking here. And even if somebody comes in with a decent batting average or bowling average, you still have to make sure that what they see on the ground is what they expected when they got here.
In the 3 overs, 15 for 2. We're into match number 5 of this MLC Champions Open. The 2 best teams will compete in the final tomorrow. You want to keep your eyes on that. It's looking like the UMMC Knight Riders could very well be in that finale. They've already won 2. Pretty much 1 foot in the door, but they want to ensure that they put out a good performance in this game. Already off to a shaky start. So Unmuk Chan is going to have to show his seniority. Just sort of get them to this power play and look to rebuild this innings. Brody Couch. Advance down the track, trying to be a bit innovative, Chan.
Very interesting. Advancing down the wicket, looking to attack Brody Couch. So that tells me that he's aware that only 15 runs have been scored in the first 3 overs of the power play. So only scoring at the rate of 5 and over. And of course, you want to be able to capitalize on these power play overs. Good, aggressive, hostile bowling so far from this opening pair of Corner Dry and Brody Couch. And Mukchan trying to sort of change that narrative.
Well, sometimes fortune favors the brave. And Unmuk Chan, well, it's not the most convincing, but it's a boundary nonetheless. think it may have just come off the inside edge.
Certainly for me, looking at it live, coming off the inside edge, you'll have a chance to see a replay very shortly. But okay, but inside edge, too far to the right, make that the left of keeper Smith Patel. Smith Patel, a former U19 teammate of Unmuk Chand. That ball racing with that pace from Brody Couch, running down to fine leg for Unmuk Chand's first boundary. He's now 5 from 5, but he's looking to do more than that. He's looking, as we've said, he's looking to make sure that the narrative is changed, because there's no question that the momentum so far is with the Atlanta Fire. And Mukchand looking to wrest that initiative back away from this opening pair.
Coach has bowled well, even though he's gone for 10 runs. Has bowled well and picked up the wicket. He's definitely getting the ball to carry, but wide signal. If we could just go back to Unmuk Chan, Brian, you look at the dominance of this man since coming to this country in the minor league, playing for the Silicon Valley Strikers. The most runs across the 2 seasons that we've had of the MALC. And he's done them in a dominant fashion as well, averaging over 50 with the bat. You've seen him score a couple hundreds. This will be a bigger test, though, than the minor league. You've got so much high-quality bowling on display. You almost don't get a break as a batsman. You have to keep that run rate flowing, but also have difficulties in the bowling attack you're facing.
He's a thinking batter, Unmuk Chand, so he's able to sort of manipulate the field. He plays well, 360 degrees, has shots all around the wicket. I think your point is well made that he's facing maybe slightly higher quality bowling in this tournament than in the minor leagues.
Well, Coach, after going for 56 runs in his first 4 overs of this MLC Champions Open, he's made a much improved recovery, you could say, in his second game, and definitely the pace has looked up. And remember, he's running into the wind as well from this southern end. So that in itself presents an extra challenge. Haven't seen a lot of bowlers who bowl from this end been able to keep their economies down. So this is impressive from Couch. The only bowler I think that we've seen do that is Justin Dill, also playing for this UMMC Knight Riders side. Angling at the pads, but may have been an inside edge on it. Heard 2 noises there.
Yep, certainly an inside edge. Umpire Jermaine Lindo immediately shaking the head. And then just the only signal you saw from him was indication or confirmation with his partner, Rushane Samuels, at square leg, that there's 1 ball left in the over.
It was probably angling down the leg side anyway, but it was a good setup from Couch because he went sort of a shorter length early in the over and then tried to push one full. He's thinking on his feet here, Brody Couch. Goes full again and beats the outside edge. Unmuk Chan has not been convincing in these first 8 deliveries. It tells you how well the Fire have bowled to him. End of 4, 22 for 2.
We see on the replay, boy, that ball was right on the 4th stump line. Big drive essayed by Unmuk Chan and not able to get to that. So yes, that is definitely an indication of how well both Brody Couch and Corny Dry are bowling. And I think we're going to see spin for the first time as Emilio Panso is giving the sweater to umpire Rushane Samuels. Those 2 pacers absolutely bowling right on top of their game in the first 4 overs.
Well, this is one of the things you love about Houston, Brian. You never know what you're going to get on a given day. May have been a hint of lateral movement, a bit inwards to Unmuk Chan, and it is chilly, so conditions could be playing a part. It's never easy on one of these fresh surfaces like we have here on pitch number 3. Oh. So you can see Unmuk Chan, it hasn't been the most free-flowing start that we're used to seeing from him in the other 2 games.
Yeah, that delivery angled in from wide of the stumps and then pitching and straightening past Unmuk Chan. Great piece of bowling. Now Emilio Panso.
And because of that hint of early moisture, you may see some deliveries from the slower bowlers grip in the surface. Sarbjeet Ladder was someone, the leg spinner from this UMMC Knight Rider side. Got a lot of deliveries to grip. They were very excited about that. Just wonder if it may have been sliding down. Hit him pretty low as well. Didn't bounce.
Angle left arm around the wicket. And a bit of drift. And yeah, for me, that's just going down. Maybe hitting the fourth stump down the leg side.
In the gap this time. And those boundaries have been rare, so does well the fielder. I think it's the captain, Sami Aslam, who just keeps it to 2. They actually come back for 3, so good running between the two, and that's what you need to do. When you're not scoring boundaries consistently, you have to find other ways of scoring. But the Fire have been commonly expensive in the power plays, so this has been a much improved. Yes, conditions are on their side, but still, they've kept the boundaries to a minimum.
Kept them to minimum. Plus, their lines and lengths are much more consistent today, asking the batters to do more to score off of their good balls, which I think is obviously the key to proper bowling or effective bowling. Now, 2 men in the deep, and now you see Emilio Aponso bringing up a slip into position on the attack against Unmukhchand.
Ball in, the arm ball. And if you don't pick the arm ball, it tends to beat you for pace, and it's done just that. Straight through Unmukhchand. You don't see that too often. The Atlanta Fire are ready for this challenge against the undefeated side.
Unmukhchand essentially playing across a straight ball. That hit middle stump. So obviously that's an indication of how straight that ball was. And he was looking to force it through the offside. So that might be just indication of the pressure of the moment getting to Unmukhchand, wanting to make sure that the scoring was as free-flowing as he likes for it to be. Here you see on the replay, an arm ball, as you mentioned, right in, and a little bit of drift in addition to it being an arm ball. So drifting right in and taking out middle stump, Unmukhchand playing that through the offside, missing that cross-batted shot. And the third wicket goes down, a big one. Unmukhchand walking back. Now the captain, Jaskaran Malhotra, will have to attempt to steady proceedings here because the UMMC Knight Riders are looking like a shell of the team that they've looked like so far in this tournament.
It's so hard to pick that arm ball from Emilio Aponso because nothing really changes. The arm speed is the same. Even the trajectory of the delivery, very similar to his other slower deliveries that he's trying to spin away from the right-hander. But it's when it pitches, it just skids on. A man that's played international cricket, Aponso. And also, it's such a hard task as a spinner bowling in the power play, and he's done that pretty much for the majority of his career. It's been an excellent over, just 3 runs conceded. Goes slow this time, Malhotra's connected. And that's the risk you have when you bowl from that end and you get it wrong. You miss, I hit, says Jaskaran Malhotra. Great way to end the over. 31 for 3.
So welcome back to this MLC Champions Open. 5 overs gone, 31 runs on the board for the UMMC Knight Riders. A bit slower of a start with 3 wickets down as well, but you got to credit the bowling of the Atlanta Fire, and they're going to continue with Brody Couch. I'm Owen Patel, joining Brian Walters. Brian, what has Atlanta done so far that's just made it so difficult for UMMC?
It built pressure just by good bowling. The good old-fashioned formula is if you keep it on a good length on off-stump, and bowling with pace in the case of the 2 opening bowlers as that ball whizzes by the outside edge of Nitish Kumar. If you build pressure that way and force the batters to score off of your good balls, then in a couple of fortuitous wickets, and the last of which was pretty straightforward arm ball that was missed by Unmuk Chand. All of a sudden, if you're UMMC, you're under pressure. You've not yet been under pressure this entire series, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can pull themselves and extricate themselves from the current situation.
Will be shots like this as it's taken into the leg side, just one bounce out there to the fielder. But again, the intent is there from UMMC and Nitish Kumar. We've already seen him take a hook shot over the top, so they're still going after it. But you saw Jessica Malhotra after 2 deliveries ago just have a word with Nitish Kumar. How's that ball moving? It's moving away, and we're going to see how he has to deal with Brody Couch. Hasn't been asked to bat this early yet this tournament, so it's going to be an interesting challenge for him.
Certainly hasn't batted this early, and in addition, has never batted in this tournament with this much pressure. 3 wickets down inside the power play, and this is really difficult going for UMMC.
And look at this one, straight away, big appeal, and the finger raises. Jessica Malhotra goes, and again, maybe a little bit of that devious bounce of wicket having something in it, but Brody Couch in the right areas, asking the right questions, and gets the 4th wicket for the day.
My goodness, beaten for pace. There is no question that Brody Couch looks several kilometers per hour quicker than he did on Sunday, coming back into the side for the first time since that first game or the first couple games. And you're doing well when you beat Jessica and Malhotra for pace. Looking here at the replay, dead straight for me and hits him on the back leg. That bat coming down from second slip, couldn't get there in time, and for me that's hitting the top of Midland leg. That is great bowling. Absolutely fired up here, Brody Couch, and he's bringing the heat, and the UMMC Knight Riders are feeling the pressure.
It's unbelievable delivery that we talked about. There just might be that extra bit of sideways movement, and you can see just how far this ball moves away from Jessica Malhotra's bat, expecting it to be around off stump, and just completely comes back in on Jessica, and as you mentioned, being for pace as well. Brody Couch, he's running in so much better today, not affected by the wind, getting used to the conditions, and he's showing why he's someone who has just there's so much regard for him, so much excitement about what he can bring to the major league.
Aman, he literally looks like a different bowler as compared to the one who bowled and was taken to the cleaners, including 23 in his last over on Sunday. So far, his figures 2.3 overs, 2 for 14, and he really looks like he's absolutely bringing it today.
The new man is Calvin Savage in the middle, and he's someone who got his first quote-unquote action yesterday with the bat in hand, setting out the non-strikers in with with scores level. So never really had to face the delivery, so it's a much different situation for him today. A lot of pressure, 4 wickets down in the power play. It's safe to say the Atlanta Fire have easily won this power play so far.
Oh my goodness, regardless of what happens in these next 2 deliveries that would constitute the end of the power play, the Atlanta Fire's their choice to bowl rather, after winning the toss, more than justified. And the bowlers for the Atlanta Fire are making Sami Aslam look very, very good here in making that decision. 32 for 4, scoring at a rate of 5.65, make that 5.49 in the power play is an amazing accomplishment. And I tell you what, it speaks to how well both of these opening bowlers, Brody Couch and Corny Dry, and then supported by Emilio Ponso, it speaks to how well they're all bowling.
Again, back of length and a brilliant power play for the Atlanta Fire comes to a close. 2 runs from that over and the wicket of Jessica Malhotra. It's 33 for the loss of 4 after 6.
So, man, it's not too early to start thinking about what sort of score the UMMC Knight Riders are going to end up setting. After 6, 33 for 4, that translates, if you just project their current rate of 5.5, to an overall score of 110. Generally, they accelerate towards the back end of the innings. Most teams do. But they've lost 4 big wickets. And so you ask the question, are they going to be able to just sort of steady the ship? I suspect that Captain Sami Aslam will hold back the last over by Brody Couch, but still 2 to come by Corny Dry. And then only 3 bowlers used so far as Emilio Ponto is getting ready to bowl his second. So the bowling is there to restrict them. You ask the question whether or not they'll even be able to get to a decent score. Projected right now at 110, I think they'll aim higher than that. But I don't think that this is the sort of start that will have them in the 150, 160 range.
Emilio Ponzo back into the attack, as you mentioned, and he's not someone that's easy to get away. We saw Oscar Malhotra hit him for 6, but that one of the few looseners that he'll bowl more on the stumps, quick through the air, and again, it's a rebuilding effort here for Nitish Kumar and Calvin Savage. Very different from any experience they've had so far in this Champions Open. And again, situations are what these scouts are looking for. Here's a new one. And look at this, Emilio Ponzo. He was asking a question there, but again, it's just good bowling. It's been in the right areas, and take a look at this, Brian.
Asking the right questions indeed. Left arm angle drifting in from around the wicket. There's a certain amount of drift there, and then that was also the arm ball going on with the arm.
This one just pushed into the offside, and again, that's what makes Emilio Ponzo dangerous. You're always playing for the spin coming away, but he'll just throw it on that length where you think he's going to rock back and cut it. And we saw Umung Chan fall to the arm ball because he just went back to cut, and it was well too close to do so. And that's what sets Emilio Ponzo apart. Not only the variations, but the lengths in which he bowls those variations. Calvin Savage, couple steps down the track, and as straight as you like, it's going to be a boundary, a much-needed one for UMMC. We see this consistently with the Chicago Tigers. He looks to be aggressive, and once again, gets to the pitch of this one and hits it for 4.
Calvin Savage using the feet to skip down the wicket. You mentioned it a second ago, and I think you're exactly right. The length at which Emilio Ponzo is bowling, he can land it on the proverbial dinner plate. He's that accurate. But if you're able to skip down as Calvin Savage is, and he's a tall man too, he has long arms, a couple skips and you meet the ball right at the pitch, then that presents certain options in scoring for you. So able to hit that one straight back down the ground, long on a little bit too wide. He was, in fact, moved wider by Emilio Ponzo before that last delivery.
And this time just keeps him in his crease. But again, if you are the UMMC Knight Riders, this is the way to rebuild. Find that one boundary, and then no need to play it an egregious shot. You're not going to see Calvin Savage come out with a huge sweep, and you see it, 2 defensive strokes to follow that one to close an over that you'll take if you are the Knight Riders. It's 39 for 4. And it looks like we are going to see another bowling change here for the Atlanta Fire.
Yeah, it looks like Imran Khan Jr. Left arm over the wicket, bowled decently in the last match that they played. The first match on Sunday, he got knocked around a little bit. But I think continuing with that same angle, left arm over, for him, I think is going to be important because you ask questions of the batter when you do that, of the right-handed batter. That angle that's created across the right-hander brings obviously the keeper into play, and then there's protection in the deep down at deep third. There's also a man on the 30-yard circle at backward point and a sweeper on the offside. So protection for that type of delivery. So I'm expecting that he's going to be bowling from over the wicket on an off-stump liner, maybe outside off-stump, to get those batters playing through the offsides.
Speaking of the offside, the field on the offside, just a deep third who's pretty wide and a deep cover. Also a long on and a deep backward square leg. The men out in the deep. You also have a long off in place who's just being moved a touch straighter. And again, as for that angle in, you're going to expect him to be closer onto stumps as long on moves wider. So just protecting that area, daring Nitish Kumar to go in to out over extra cover. Starts on the body and just tucked away for 1. Direct hit. I think Calvin Savage was well home, but how about that? Emilio Ponzo can't get him out the game.
Wow. It's a great piece of fielding. Probably only had 1 stump to aim at, running in from square of the wicket on the offside. Ron Khan Jr. with that ball just on middle and off. And look at this clean pickup left-hander, so he had to run around that ball and then pick up and throw and hits the 1 stump that he has to aim at. That's what scouts will be looking at. In addition to how you bowl and bat, They're looking for athletic ability in the field. Certainly evidence of that there from Emilio Alfonso.
This one right on the pads, and Nitish Kumar not interested in that single, and again, probably a good decision. You can see Imran Khan slowed that one down as well, took a little bit of pace away from Calvin Savage, and again, you mentioned it, Imran Khan in his first day, his first outing, got knocked around the park, but then was able to show off a little bit of variation that he possesses with the cutters, and then showing off the swing and the seam-up deliveries, and he's found a rhythm here from Prairie View. As this one will find the inner half of the bat for one.
Calvin Savage, thus far in this tournament, as you mentioned, his only batting so far was to come to the non-strikers with the scores level. So, you know, you and I could have gone out there and done that. But he's now being asked to play a major role. He is an all-rounder. There's no question his ability with the bat. So he's now being asked, instead of just affecting the game with the ball in hand, he's also now going to be asked to do what he needs to with the bat.
This one strays down the leg side and will be wide, and again just missing on a variation there. But you mentioned Calvin Savage, and he is an all-rounder, more than capable with the bat in hand. Was a big part of why Chicago Tears were in playoff contention. Averages over 30 in minor league cricket, had a strike rate of 157, so has come up with a reputation as a big hitter. He's going to have to hold that back, though, in this situation. This one, Fuller, again, finds the inner half of the bat, and they'll take these ones. And again, it's a way to rebuild if you are UMMC.
You'll absolutely accept these singles. In fact, as of right now, UMMC should be comfortable, not necessarily comfortable, but at least they should be able to accept singles as a way of scoring from this point forward. If you, in the next 3 or 4 overs, score 5 runs and over with 5 singles, you'll accept that. Just get back to the point where you get some fluidity back into the innings, and hopefully if this still the same pair, Nitish Kumar and Calvin Savage, is still there, you can explode later on.
And this one just too close to the body there and fended away for a dot ball, but you brought it up. Again, don't know how many bats you're really looking at. You're going to talk about Justin Dill. You're going to talk about Rusty Theran, and you're going to bring up Ali Sheikh in that question as well. But you don't want to throw them out there too early. You want to have this partnership last until you would hope the 15th over. Keep those wickets in the back pocket. As this one on the pad asking a question, not going to be the correct answer though. As 8 overs pass by, it's 43 for 4. Okay, if you took a look at that replay, looked like it was straying down leg to me. You can see all 3 stumps and also hit on the knee roll on the front foot. So you have to imagine that's probably what the umpire's looking at. Touch high, touch down the leg side.
In addition to that, left arm over, probably pitching it outside the line of leg stump. But apart from that, it was a good shout.
Well, you're always going to ask as a bowler. Can never. You're always thinking it's out. Every bowler that's ever had an LBW shout is convinced it's out.
Sure.
And I'm sure Imran Khan would have just loved to convince the umpire. And again, it's like you're in sales, Brian. You got to go and market yourself. You got to sell all the points and at least give yourself a case. You feel like you've done yourself a disservice if you don't.
No question. And, you know, the bowlers say, you know what, I have the right to ask the question. It's up to the umpire to say yes or no.
Emilio Alfonso will come back into the attack. A man with the wicket already, the big wicket of Udmuk Chand. And again, very rare to see him dismissed early. Starts off nice and straight, and again, they'll get that single off a little bit of a misfield from Emilio, but he's someone that just keeps things tight. Very economical for a spinner. Feels like your modern T20 spinner, Brian.
Spinners, generally speaking, play such a big role in a T20 attack. Because more than anything else, if the ball is coming onto the bat, even though the opening bowlers have bowled so well today and so hostile and so aggressive, the ball is coming on, you usually have more scoring options. But a good spinner is one that is really difficult to get off the square.
This one will just be pushed to the offside for 1. And like we mentioned a couple days ago, in T20 cricket, it's all about how many dot balls you can build up. And as a spinner, yes, you want to take those wickets, but if you are able to just create 2 or 3 dot balls and over, especially as a spinner, you'll feel pretty comfortable. This one darted in a bit quicker. It's hit back down the ground just for one. Again, UMMC, they're not going to hate this. Like if they're finding runs, which is important, they're holding on to the wickets. But if you are the Atlanta Fire, you know that they're going to need to take a big risk at some point. You're just buying your time, trying to sneak in all these overs. Look at that, pump fake, and then Calvin Savage saying, okay, I'll come down to the pump fake. And again, all happening. A little bit of gamesmanship out there, Brian.
Just a little bit of gamesmanship. Emilio Ponce looking to capitalize on what is probably some tension building among this batting pair.
And sensing that Calvin Savage might want to come down, you can see Emilio Ponce pulls the length back, right on the body line. Again, very smart, always thinking.
Look at that, the run rate now, 5.21. So one ball remaining in the ninth.
This time uses his feet, just going to be one down the ground to close out a very good ninth over for the Atlanta Fire. Just 4 runs coming from it, 47 for a loss of 4.
Amanda mentioned that they should probably be comfortable. The UMMC Knight Riders will just getting around 5 runs and over for a short period of time before they look to push on later on. Well, the last 5 overs have gone for exactly 25 runs. So they're sort of sticking to that sort of approach. Now, this current run rate is 5.22. That projects to a score of 104. So they're going to need to get much more than that, I think, in order to make this a challenging match, as Imran Khan has the ball in his hands again. 8 and over from here gets them to 135. I think that's what they'll be looking for.
Oh, look at that innovation straight away. I think this is outside the line of leg stump. But again, Nitish Kumar, we see him play that shot a couple of times, and this time it was Calvin Savage trying to do something similar, unable to really get onto it there.
Calvin Savage, the man with the reputation for big hitting, didn't expect to see a reverse sweep, tried straight up. And I'll tell you, as you see the replay there, of that little bit of gamesmanship earlier on. But that, to me, that shot was an indication of the desperation that's starting to sneak in.
Pushed into a vacant leg side, everyone in the deep there, and just going to get 1 for it. But you mentioned, Brian, 135 is a score that you would think, with this bowling lineup that UMMC have, you know, spearheaded by Sarbjit Lada, you still have Rusty Theran involved. You can always give overs. Calvin Savage has been good. Justin Dill has been good. Akhilesh Bhagadam. So plenty of bowling options. And if the wicket were to play similar, and there's still something in it for the spinners by that second innings, it would always be interesting.
It will be interesting. So the caution to that, and I think they really do have a good varied bowling attack, but several of their seamers are carrying niggles. Rusty Theran bowled 2 overs and then left the field on Monday. Justin Dill also had a little bit of a niggle, so it remains to be seen, as this is played to short square leg for another single. It remains to be seen whether or not that is in any way a concern, and whether or not the fast bowlers can hit the deck as hard as they ordinarily would and bowl the way that they're capable of bowling. That would be the only concern for me, is that they're carrying relative different degrees of physical limitations, and whether or not that can carry on throughout the match is something to watch for.
Rolls his fingers over this one. Quick single taken, quick single gotten, with 1 delivery left here in this 10th over. Again, more than happy to get these singles and buy their time in this innings. And again, also another thing to consider, will the wicket still have that much in it for the spinners? Will there still be that grip involved? Sun is out, no clouds in the sky, so Sun will continuously be beating down on it. It'll be interesting to see how much the wicket has. Again, slower one. This time squeezed through the infield. Sweeper cover coming around, but not going to get there. And a 4 to close out the over. So a good over for the UMMC Knight Riders, the first one in quite some time after this back foot punch from Nitish Kumar.
Well played, just punching it off the back foot, and it races away to deep backward point for the first boundary in a very long time. So that is the end of 10. The score is 56 for 4.
so far all the way of the Atlanta Fire in these first 10 overs. The UMMC Knight Riders are going to have to do a lot of work in this back 10. Last 60 deliveries remaining. They want to get to a respectable total. We've seen 200 being chased down by the Fire pretty easily with just the loss of 1 wicket in their last game. However, this surface is a new one and different. And we're going to see Zia Shazad for the first time today. A man that you want to keep your eye on, and leg spinner. We know the value of leg spin in T20 cricket. Down the track, we speak about the value. He's showing it every time he gets the ball, Zia Shazad. Calvin Savage, the pressure was building. He had to get a move on and just walks past one. Another wicket for the Fire. The Knight Riders have lost half their side. So early success. Say good afternoon to Peter Della Pena. Good morning, sorry.
Yeah, it's that variable bounce we've seen at times on this Prairie View pitch over the course of the week, and that one just keeping a touch low. Could see what Calvin Savage was trying to do there, and swinging across the line when there's that variable bounce is going to lead to situations like that. Zia Shazad. Not a bad way to start. Wicket first ball coming into the attack. And even though the fact that UMMC Knight Riders are halfway down, just 1 ball past the halfway point of the innings, what it does mean is open up an opportunity here for a youngster like Ali Sheikh. He impressed with the ball a few days ago, and now he's got a golden opportunity to really showcase himself in front of the scouts here to press his all-around claims. We've seen that within the U.S. domestic scene, especially at junior level, what he can do talent-wise with the bat in addition to ball. This is a different caliber player he's got to prove himself against, and there's no better time to do it than 4 days before the MLC draft.
So immediate impact for Zia Shazad. Has bowled well in this MLC Champions Open. Was a tad expensive in the last game. They really took a liking to him, but it was a tough pitch for all bowlers really on day 2 of this MLC Champions Open. So close to 800 runs being scored on the day. Today though, a different story. Have to work for your runs. You've seen what has been an unstoppable batting lineup really struggle in these first 10 overs. Too short, but does have protection in the deep, hitting into the bigger side. And if you earn your length, probably where you want it to be. You think you'd rather be too short than too full. So it forces you as a batter, whether left or right-hander, to hit square into the much bigger boundary. The onside for a left-hander and the offside for a right-hander. But that run rate is below 5.5 runs per over. You don't tend to see that too often with a star-studded batting lineup that the Raiders have. Indecision. And I think he's short. He is. Things going from bad to worse. We had an early mix-up in the innings. Nitish Kumar survived. Now he's run out.
And again, it's a symptom of the pressure. Nitish Kumar, who's looked good all week. Every game he's got to start. And I don't think he's going to do himself too much harm in the grand scheme of things in the eyes of the scouts, getting out, run out the way he did. He's demonstrated every time he's come out, he's a quality player. But yeah, running between the wickets, Ali Sheikh, that just looked like a symptom of Ali Sheikh knows he hasn't had time in the middle, and he wasn't going to be willing to take any risks. Nitish Kumar was looking to stay busy, and Ali Sheikh, probably somewhere in the back of his mind subconsciously, is thinking to himself, I'm not going to run myself out here when this could be my last chance to showcase what I can do with the bat. It was always going to be a very tight run, and Nitish Kumar, unfortunately, gets the short end of the stick there.
A lot of work to be done for the Riders if they're to get anything respectable. 120 seems a long way away.
And on the flip side, you got to say credit to Emilio Aponzo and Brody Couch. They were the fielders over there in the offside ring who put the pressure on and created that run-out opportunity that was converted.
And Zia Shazad, you can see immediately on surfaces like this where the ball is gripping, he can be a real handful. We want to see how Sarbjeet ladder balls later on. Off the mark straight away is Justin Dill, the new batter. Not really known for his batting exploits.
And yet again, though, like I said, it's an opportunity for somebody like him to show what he can do in one of the last opportunities prior to the draft. Like you said, more known for being a bowler.
Well, Ali Sheikh can bat. There's no doubt about it. He can definitely bat, so he can certainly lead them to this situation. End of the 11th over, 59 for 6. Back live here at the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Field number 6. The UMMC Knight Riders up against the Atlanta Fire. Going to see Matthew Trump into the attack for the first time. This is a youngster like Ali Sheikh who you want to keep your eyes on. Very skilled, very talented, originally from South Africa. Now has moved to the United States and was very impressive right here in Houston in the minor league, playing for the Houston Hurricanes. Can he make an impact? First time with the ball in hand in this MLC Champions Open. Sami Aslam seems like he's not happy with something, so he went to umpire Jermaine Lindo.
Yeah, Matthew Trump, his twin brother Joshua. His brother Joshua is a wicketkeeper, primarily. With the two of them coming over to the U.S. as teenagers. Their dad, Brett, is always a fixture at matches. They had an interesting situation last year. Because they were on different teams. So even though they're based here in Texas,
but you certainly want to keep your eyes on, because in the minor league, wickets column wasn't necessarily the most abundant, but that was not his role in that Hurricanes team. It was sort of more to hold the innings together in the middle period and also bowled a lot of overs in the death. And his economy was less than 7 runs per over. Picked up 10 wickets in 11 matches. Very impressed by this young man.
yeah, Matthew was with the Houston Hurricanes and Joshua was with the Dallas Mustangs. And for those not familiar with Texas geography, we see a no ball signaled here, so it's going to be a free hit to Justin Dill. Houston and Dallas about a 3-hour drive apart, so when they had matches on the same day, one parent stuck with Matthew and the other parent went to go see Joshua play. 3 miles away, made things a little bit tricky, but they managed.
Clearly overstepping, but again, having to run into the wind will be a challenge for the young man. Goes pace off. That's the variation we were talking about. They won't get to the boundary, won't be taken. Doesn't matter too much, but he does have those. I think I've seen 3 or 4 different slower deliveries bowled by Trump. Saw them in the Pakistan Junior League as well, where he traveled to in 2022. Played with some of the best youngsters in the world for the Gujranwala Giants. 6 wickets in just 3 games as well. So definitely has something there in terms of his talent. This is in the gap. He's just brought up Dominic Rickey from off that boundary. And Ali Sheikh maneuvers the field well. Finds the gap for 4.
I said it the other day, he's a thinking cricketer. You look at him, his technique is not exactly polished, but he's very good at finding gaps, Ali Sheikh. And he scores runs, that's the bottom line. He scores runs, takes wickets. His bowling technique doesn't really turn the ball a lot. He just uses his cleverness, varying his pace, and with the bat, he finds gaps. Sometimes he's a little bit hard-handed. He kind of pushes at the ball with his hands a little bit early at times, which is somewhat of a product of playing the majority of his cricket on artificial wickets in Dallas, and then the Dallas area. He's from Plano, which is a suburb of Dallas. But he's got natural athleticism, and he's a good timer of the ball. So even though his technique might not be too flash, his scoring ability certainly is. And right here, again, he's also an excellent runner between the wickets. I know he was involved in the run out, but by and large, he's somebody who's quick. He'll look to push for singles, look to push and turn ones into twos. He's an effort player. He's an attitude player, and that's the kind of guy you want on your team.
67 for 6. Trump's first over, 8 runs conceded. And the spin that's worked so well today. Continuing. We saw Amila Ponzo really build pressure, got the wicket of Unmuk Chan early. And they've just kept a stranglehold on this innings. The spin and pretty much the entire attack for the Fire. Some will be happy with this performance after they conceded 200 in the last game.
I can get from here to Austin in 90.
I remember PDP, each team must have an under-23 player in their squad. So guys like Ali Sheikh, Matthew Trump are going to be ones to watch in that draft on Sunday.
100%. And then you've also got guys like Sai Mukamala, who's touring with the U.S. team, who has impressed with New Jersey Stallions. Got guys like Vatsal Vagela, Golden State Grizzlies, left-arm spinner. He's also touring with USA at the moment as reserve. He fits into that under-23 age bracket as well. So there's a few options floating around, but of the ones currently here in Texas, Ali Sheikh, Matthew Trump, definitely prime targets.
He's doing well, as you said, Ali Sheikh. Just a turn over the strike. Only have the 4 wickets remaining, so need to ensure that they can at least get to the 15th over this pair. They want to get anywhere close to 120, which you think would be way below par, even though it's been a tough surface to bat on.
What they're doing here, just stretching the game out. Can knock singles around. Just get to that 16th over. If you can stretch the score out to 100 after 16, and then you can try and go at 10 and over for the last 4 overs to try and get to 140. That's the mindset they've got to have right about now.
There's been no difficulty in rotating the strike. They've done that pretty well, but there will come a point in time where they have to find the boundary. Another good over for the Fire. Just 5 singles from it. 72 for 6. here live. Matthew Trump continuing for his second. And what was most impressive about him, watching him in that Pakistan Junior League, and those surfaces which can be very placid in Pakistan, he didn't go for too many runs, took 3 wickets in one of the games, 2 in quick succession in 1 over, and he really showcased a variation on those surfaces which make you think as a seamer especially, because guys are coming at you pretty hard. Most things are stacked against you as a seamer, so if he can bowl there and do well, surely he has the skill set to be able to succeed in an environment like this against some of the best cricketers in the country.
Yeah, certainly the opportunity that he's had to travel around. Again, he's originally from Gauteng, South Africa, and spent a decent amount of time here in Texas. And like you said, getting the opportunity to play in Pakistan, the Pakistan Junior League, all these things, getting experience in different conditions, it all adds up.
This has been good from Ali Sheikh. He's showing that he's, I think, just playing the situation well. This is good situational awareness from the youngster.
And again, this is one of the things I've been talking about. He's a thinking cricketer. You wouldn't know it from talking to him, though, if you can talk to him. He's one of the most quiet guys you'll ever come across. He's a man of few words off the cricket field, but you get him into a setting where he's engaged about cricket, and he's got all sorts of scenarios going through his mind.
And not to mention the fact that he's taken the most catches in the minor league season, so he has that asset as well. And as you saw it 2 days ago, he took 3 wickets in 1 over.
Yeah, and when he gets into that mode, like I said, he doesn't say much off the field, but you get him on the field, he loves talking trash. Sledging, if you want to call it that in cricket. And his teammates like his attitude. He can get a bit feisty at times. He's a good guy to have in your corner.
Just past Trump, and they'll get another single, but the Fire are doing well. They haven't conceded a boundary now in the last some 10 deliveries, so they're building pressure well.
Ali Sheikh, he's the kind of guy I describe as being like a Claude Lemieux. That's the comparison I always make. Claude Lemieux, former NHL hockey player, was a very skilled goal scorer, but he was also had a reputation as somebody who could needle you at times, could give you a cross check in the back. Here's that slower ball you're talking about, Nikhil, just on straight down the leg side. But Claude Lemieux was the type of guy, everybody loved him as a teammate, and he was the guy you hated playing against the most. He was the guy you least wanted to face on the opposite side of the ice. If I think about it in the NBA, almost in a similar style, kind of like a Matthew Dellavedova maybe a little bit. Patrick Beverly, I'm going to shout out. I think maybe a little bit of a Draymond Green, a little bit. Brian Walters is shouting Dennis Rodman. We haven't seen Ali Sheikh go for the dyed hair, the Demolition Man dyed hair, a la Dennis Rodman. But yeah, Dennis Rodman, he was the guy who did the dirty work. He was the guy who was unselfish, did all the stuff that his teammates loved, and you absolutely hated line up against Dennis Rodman on the opposite side of the field. It's come to the end of the over, 79 for 6 after 14. Ali Sheikh has got that kind of characteristic about him, like those other guys. All of his teammates love him. You talk to Corey Anderson about Ali Sheikh. Corey Anderson, who loves Ali Sheikh, having him at Dallas Mustangs.
A couple of really tight overs put together by the Fire. Last 2 overs, just 20 runs, just above a run a ball. Still, that run rate is below 6 and over. So they're not even going to get to 120 unless things can sort of increase. They don't have a lot of batting to come. So a lot will be up to this pair in the middle. Now the dot. How do they sort of get themselves to at least 120 from here?
Like I said, I think pushing singles and twos at this stage for the next 2 overs is not the worst thing in the world. You can't be soaking up dots, though, like Justin Dill is doing. That's not going to get you anywhere. But I don't think they need to be slogging necessarily at this stage. Again, just knocking around, try and get to 95. And then you set your target for 10 and over the last 4 overs.
Shazad has bowled well. He's bowled on the stumps, been very accurate. And then he's gotten a few deliveries to just gripping the surface, which have presented another challenge. Seems like Ali Sheikh wants a change of bat. Maybe the time to go after the bowling. So he's gone for the lighter or heavier bat. Depends on the batter. Some, when they're looking for more power, go with the heavier bat. Others like a lighter bat to be able to get that bat swing through the ball quickly. He's using the edge of his new bat. So, again, Zia Shazad, just 9 runs conceded in 16 deliveries bowled, and he's picked up a wicket. This has been a golden spell. A new bowler coming in could have easily let sort of the intensity, some of it away, off, I should say. But when he's coming to the attack late in the innings, he's ensured that he's kept the pressure on. Exactly what his captain would have wanted. Should just be 1 to end the over. And just 2 runs from the over. We have 5 remaining. The Knight Riders have to get a move on here. 81 for 6.
Welcome back to the last 5 overs of this MLC Champions Open. In this match number 5 between the UMMC Knight Riders and the Atlanta Fire. It's been all Atlanta Fire from early stages, taking wickets early and often. And as we see Brody Couch return, Aman Patel joining Peter De La Pena in the box. Last 5 here, and it's time to tee off if you are the UMMC Knight Riders, Peter.
And although that's what they need to do, accomplishing it is going to be a bit more difficult, easier said than done. As Brody Couch is coming back into the attack. He's already struck twice today. Much more impressive spell than he had in his first outing here in Texas.
Oh, look at that shot by Ali Sheikh over the top of extra cover. Not flustered by the pace. And Ali Sheikh picks up a boundary.
That was one of those vintage Batman kapow captions off of that drive. Wham! In the slot. Half volley on 5th stump. And pick your comic book caption. That was just thumped with authority over extra cover. Gorgeous shot from Ali Sheikh.
Brody Couch just getting a touch too full there. Doesn't really have the field for that type of delivery with it stacked in the leg side. A little bit too wide as well. See how he adjusts here. This time goes shorter and zips past Ali Sheikh. That time he got the pace. Ali Sheikh looked to play it late, just unable to get onto it. And Brody Couch, as you mentioned, much more impressive here in today's innings than his first spell. As you take a look at this, just again, looks like he's just feels comfortable going through the run-up. Again, that extra bounce.
He's had some time to get through the jet lag. Maybe you can blame it on that coming in from Australia.
Again, go short. Top edge. I think he's going to find the boundary. It will. Tad bit unlucky there for Brody Couch, but more runs off the bat of Ali Sheikh.
They all count. Not nearly as glamorous as the first boundary in the over, but you can argue it somewhat intentionally played. You could see he was almost trying to uppercut it to third man. Got it much finer than he really wanted to, but the intent was there to try and get it up and over the infield.
And this is just the type of start to an over that can get into the heads of the Atlanta Fire. You can see Brody Couch just having a talk with mid-off, and again now trying to change the plans. You saw him go full early. Now he's pulled the length back. Ali Sheikh just causing some problems. This time on a hard length and really well bowled right into the body of Ali Sheikh. Nothing he could really do with that one.
And he fought it off well. Just fight to see the next delivery. He's already got 2 boundaries in the over, so you won the over. You don't need to do anything reckless or stupid to get out now. The last 5, if they can go with 10 and over at this rate, that's a win for the UMMC Knight Riders. So Ali Sheikh won't mind just negotiating that delivery in the way that he did.
Again, back of a length this time, chipped up into the air. It's not going to find a fielder. But again, showing off the pace is Brody Couch.
I was in a local sporting goods shop yesterday, and they had a speed gun. They had the radar guns in the baseball section, and I was tempted to buy one, and now I'm regretting it. I wish I had bought one, because I'd like to get out there and get the radar gun out for Brody Couch. He's blowing some serious gas right now, Aman.
Definitely plenty of heat and fire on it, as Justin Dill will come on to strike. And again, it's been a lot of Ali Sheikh as of late, and Justin Dill can swing the willow around a bit as a member of the New Jersey Stallions in the first season and as a member of the St. Louis Americans in minor league cricket. Full straight, push back down the ground, quick single, chance. Direct hit might have been interesting, but he'll survive in the end, retain strike, and at the end of 16, it's 91 for loss of 6. Well, it'll be interesting to see where Sami Yeslam elects to go. Looks like he is going to go with Shia Zazad. And why not? Just 2 runs off his previous over. If he can continue to pull off stuff like this, you're going to see the Knight Riders with a lower score. But it could be intriguing. This one's pushed into the offside for 1. Again, always dangerous, Peter, to bowl those spinners, and especially the wrist spinners, towards the tail end of an innings.
On the flip side, it's the high risk, high reward. You do see sometimes Rashid Khan bowl at this stage of the match and get an awful lot of wickets. He can go heavy. You've also seen Rashid Khan get torched by Chris Gale at this stage of an innings. So it can go both ways.
Right now, won't mind the singles at this stage. I think the Fire will be happy to give up singles as long as they're not conceding boundaries. We mentioned Justin Dill's exploits with the bat. Strikes it just over 112, has a high score of 66 in minor league cricket. Someone who comes in lower middle order. Isn't really asked to do a lot of the heavy lifting, but has shown the ability to do so at times.
In some ways, you could argue he's been underutilized with the bat in minor league cricket.
Skip down the track and hit straight to short extra cover. The captain, Sami Yeslam, puts him down.
I think he might check his hands for some skid marks on that one. That came like a rocket off the bat of Ali Sheikh.
Again, used to the feet. Again, another dot ball. Shazad reacting to it and expecting that early, but Peter can't really blame somebody else for putting that one down.
Again, he's shaking his hands. There's some sting on that one. The temperature's climbed up to 75 degrees today with the biting wind.
As this one's cut away for one.
You've got all players in the field basically still in long sleeves. Justin Dill has been batting with a sweatshirt on for most of his innings, so in the Texas Plains, that's a chance that he'll sting, and it'll leave a mark in this kind of weather.
Well, if it's going to leave a mark, he's wish he would have taken it as well, but that'll do it for the 17th over. A good over for the Fire. Just 4 runs coming from it. It's 95 for 6, so the gamble with a spinner pays off.
It just shows how
Change in bowling. It's Imran Khan Jr. as Couch finished his 4-over spell. Slower one deceives Ali Sheikh that time.
this is the area where some of the locally developed players struggle a little bit more than more experienced players. You don't see an awful lot of the variations land on the mark from the players coming up at junior level. So it's a tough adjustment for the batters as well.
Comes down the track and able to adjust to it well. Again, Imran Khan spotting the movement early. Pushes it away for one. Again, Peter, Imran Khan Jr. didn't have the greatest start, much like Brody Couch, to this Champions Open. But in his next 2 affairs with the ball in hand has looked really good.
Yeah. Few of the days, a few of the innings are batter dominated. Not only did we see Brody Couch struggle and Imran Khan struggle, but Ali Khan took some punishment a couple days ago. So there's a number of bowlers who are looking to balance out the ledger. And Imran Khan and Brody Couch have certainly done that here today.
Again, using his feet and again not getting quite all the way to that delivery. Imran Khan's keeping it away out of the reach of Ali Sheikh, and again, you have to imagine at some point Ali Sheikh's going to sit in his crease and wait for one to sit up on him.
And on the flip side, I thought that was 2 off the bat, but Dominique Ricky really, really quick along the ground. It's one of the underrated aspects of fielding is foot speed along the ground. Doesn't really get measured or tracked as well as it probably should be in terms of players who are denying runs. Ricky does that very well.
And this one races past the outside edge. Again, it's just been really good bowling all the way through for the Atlanta Fire, continuing in this 18th over, this time off the hand of the Pakistani quick.
Yeah, that projected total keeps on shrinking. I was saying 140 around the 12 over mark, then it turned into 130. A couple overs ago now, if they can get to 120.
Another slower one to close out the over. They could think about 2, and they will. Ali Sheikh, he's quick. And big shouts and given. Justin Dill not quick enough. Throwing from the deep was good enough to close out the 18th over. The risk doesn't pay off, and Justin Dill has to go. The 7-wicket falls.
Well, that was an absolute laser. Zia Shazad, he's been all over the field today with the ball in hand, and now in the field, he charges in, and just a bullet hits the base of off stump. Justin Dill thought he was in, but the umpire felt otherwise. And he didn't exactly bust it for that first run, and that's probably what cost him in the end. He was kind of just jogging a little bit, and he wasn't happy with the decision, but that was the best replay from behind the wicketkeeper. You could clearly see the bat was a few inches short of the line, so an excellent decision on the line. But look at Zia Shahzad. He's been one of the standout players, I got to say, Aman, over the course of these 3 match days. Everything he's done has really stood out. He's been hustling, and that's just a carry-on of what he's been doing in Mono. Here's a great view of, we'll see when Justin Dill comes back for the second, but he's kind of ball watching here. He's not exactly just turning his head down and just going full steam ahead. And here's the best angle. You'll see when the ball hits the stumps, the bat is right now. You can see it's clearly short of the line. So outstanding work from Zia Shahzad.
And that does it for the 18th over, 99 for loss of 7. And we'll go to Amila Alponzo, Wilsemi Aslam, who started out really well initially with that wicket of Unmukhchand as Ali Sheikh gets one, and it'll be Sarvjit Ladda to face his first delivery. Sarvjit Ladda, he's going to fancy himself with the ball today with that extra bit of grip in the surface. But right now it's going to be about making sure he can get some runs with the bat in hand. Doesn't really get many innings with the bat, just 17 runs across minor league cricket, so a new situation for him. This one chipped straight up, and the simplest of catches for Amila Alponzo. Looked like he was trying to turn the corner behind fine leg, leading edge, and Amila Alponzo, he's taking a second wicket.
Very nonchalant with the catch. And there's going to be a few wickets that come easier to Amila Alponzo than that one right there. As he said, he just tried to turn this into the leg side a bit too early. Ball just gripping a little bit more than he expected in the wicket, and he turns the bat face to close it too early. Leading edge pops up to Alponzo. And now the UMMC Knight Riders are 8 down.
8 down. I think it's going to be Akhilesh Bogadam coming out into the middle. Again, we'll get that confirmed to you, but not the way the UMMC Knight Riders expected this innings to go. Thought they were going to be able to get in here and carry a lot of that momentum that they had in the previous couple of matches, and really haven't had to rely on anyone other than the openers and maybe the one down where Jessica Malhotra would come in for the previous couple of matches. But today, a much different story as Rusty Theran rather marches his way into the middle.
Yeah, I don't think Rusty Theran was expecting this about an hour ago. He was having a casual stroll on the boundary, taking in the scene. And suddenly he's been pressed into action. He didn't get to bowl a full spell the other day. Came off the field injured. And just a slight issue. He's back in the lineup today. Expected to bowl.
Have to imagine he's going to be given that new ball, but right now the thought is going to be, how can I get Ali Sheikh back on to strike? And just defends it away against Smith Patel. Always animator behind the stumps, and again, Amila Alponzo, just been his day today. Big swing of the bat. Fielder's in place, and he's not going to get there. Just over the outstretched arm of long off. And Rusty Theran says, I'm not just taking ones here. I'm going for the big shot.
Rusty had his Wheaties for breakfast. It's overpitched, plenty of width on offer, and that is not an easy shot because, again, the wind has been blowing in from that direction all week long. So to muscle it through that wind, I think Dominique Ricky thought it was going to stay inside the boundary, take it comfortably, and instead it carries for 6.
And this time a little paddle into the leg side for 1, and we'll bring Ali Sheikh on to strike. So a good way to get some runs on the board, keep it moving. Again, that 6 prompted UMMC past the 100 mark, and for the Knight Riders, gonna want to get to 120 in 7 deliveries. Big heave from Ali Sheikh. Fielder's in place, and he won't take it. Never looked like he made up the ground, and Ali Sheikh gets out over to the other end. So nearly a third wicket for Emilio Ponzo to close out the 19th over.
Rare blemish on Zia Shazad. And this is what I talked about a couple balls earlier with Dominic Ricky. It's been extremely difficult to clear the boundary on that side with the wind blowing in all week long. And Zia Shazad, I think he just thought that was going to travel a little bit more than it did. It died on him very late. He got hands to it in the end, but unable to come up with it.
Unable to come up with it. 19 overs gone, 108 for loss of 8. And that's going to be a couple more runs there. This time off the bat of Ali Sheikh. It's, again, another one of those blemishes maybe for Zia Shazad, but big runs there for Ali Sheikh and the UMMC Knight Riders.
I think I might have cursed him. I was talking him up so much. Ever since then, he's come back down to earth. 2 blunders in the field on consecutive balls.
Again, use of the feet. This one hammered into the offside. 4 more for Ali Sheikh, and electric right now as a youngster.
Zia Shazad getting salt rubbed into the wound. As Ali Sheikh seizes on this, uses his feet, and Zia Shazad can only watch from long off as this skids the rope. Dropped him at deep mid wicket, and then first ball of this over, he just misjudged the chance. It was in the air, should have been caught. He took a terrible route to the ball.
This time shorter, this time in the air, but once again, it's another boundary. Ali Sheikh, it's a statement piece of an over for him. 6 more.
This is the magic over for Ali Sheikh. Took 3 wickets in it a couple days ago with the ball, and now with the bat in hand in the 20th over, he's putting on a show. And this is top drawer from Ali Sheikh. That is not an easy shot by any stretch under normal circumstances, but especially not when the wind is blowing in. That just shows the timing that this guy has.
This one, run to third man, fine, edgy. But when things are going your way, they're going your way. 4 more. That's 4 boundaries in the over. And are we talking about 140 now, Peter Della Penna?
He's trying to complete the wagon wheel. Aman through long off, and through extra cover, and through backward point. Now he's gone through through third. Now all he needs to do is complete it with 2 boundaries on the leg side.
He's got 2 deliveries to do so. It's been brilliant. Full and straight, and he's gone on 49. Misses his half century by 1 run, but a good innings there. And Imran Khan, he showed it already, his ability to bowl that Yorker. Does it once again. A big wicket, but again, 4 big strokes from Ali Sheikh.
He's given UMMC Knight Riders a fighting chance, and this is a standout innings, standout contribution for somebody in that under 23 age bracket. And as good as he was early in the over, that was even better from Imran Khan, just getting the Yorker on the money on middle stump to strike back. So we've seen good death skills both ways. You're seeing the good death overs hitting from Ali Sheikh, and you're seeing a good Yorker execution right there at the death from Imran Khan Jr. So a lot to like on both sides of the ball if you're evaluating these players.
Well, you mentioned that under 23 age bracket, as Akhilesh Bogadam will come out into the middle. Again, Imran Khan, he's looked very good. Got hit for 4 boundaries, but it's that ability to bowl that Yorker, incredibly accurate, right on middle stump. And we'll see if he uses it one more time. 1 delivery to go here. Slower, wide is it? It's going to be at least 1 off a bye, maybe. And no, it's just going to be run out. So no runs coming from it. Everything happening on that delivery. The slower one, the attempted ramp, and it ends up being no run in the end.
Well, Rusty Tron, he's got plenty of experience with this. This is Shades of Antigua, November 2021. Akhilesh Bodagum, not having gone through that experience against Canada, perhaps wasn't at the top of his mind. trying to take a bye off the last ball, and he was quite delayed leaving for that run. It probably should have been a single in the end if he had taken off right away, but in the end, it's the 10th wicket to fall off the final ball of the inning, so UMMC Knight Riders end on 126 for 10, and despite being in deep peril through much of the innings, Ali Sheikh has given them a fighting chance with 49 off 38 balls, including 3 4s and a 6 in that 20th over. But in terms of Atlanta Fire, Zia Shazad, Brody Couch really stood out with the ball. And Emil Alfonso as well with 2 wickets. But I'd have to say Brody Couch and Zia Shazad were my pick of the bowling unit today, Aman.
Zia Shazad was special in his 4 overs and just got in. Wickets are falling in his overs. And again, Emil Alfonso just doing what he does best and getting that crucial wicket of Udmuk Chand early. And that's what kind of set the tone for today. And don't forget about Cornet Dry and Brody Couch, their opening spell. Very spectacular. There's been a very good first innings and a good fight back for the UMMC Knight Riders. 126 on the board. That means that the Atlanta Fire will need 127. A team that chased 200 yesterday. Will they be able to do this on a new surface? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to present you with this second innings of Match 5 of the MLC Champions Open. Welcome back to the MLC Champions Open. Match number 5 here between the UMMC Knight Riders and the Atlanta Fire. The Atlanta Fire won the toss. They elected to bowl, and it proved to be a fruitful strategy, holding the Knight Riders to 126. So they'll need 127, and this is a team that, if you recall yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, chased down a score of 200 with such ease. Able to do it before the 20 over mark, and a new wicket, new day, always a new challenge, but Mukhtar Ahmed has quickly become one of the fan favorites, one of the most impressive players. The ex-Pakistan national who has a couple of 50s internationally. He scored some runs out there, and it'll be Rasi Theran to start things off for the UMMC Knight Riders. Again, going to need a good start. We'll see how quickly spin is being brought, and again, all the intriguing variables that Prairie View Cricket Complex possesses. So here we go, Rasi Theran to start things off to Mukhtar Ahmed. Captain Sami Aslam is going to be at the non-strikers end. I'm Om Patel. I'm joined by Peter Della Penna. Peter, 127. That's what's required for the Atlanta Fire. As we see ball 1 here from Rasi Theran. And starts down the leg side, and it'll be a boundary to open up the account of the Atlanta Fire. So 4 runs from Mukhtar Ahmed straight away.
Yeah, this guy's had the Midas touch with the bat throughout this event. Anything he touches turns to gold. And more often than not, it's been with a power. But here, showing off the finesse. Just tickling that down the leg side.
And Mukhtar Ahmed, 80 off 41. When the Atlanta Fire chased 200 in just 18 overs. This time on the body, and that seems to be the ploy from Rasi Theran. He's attacking the body line, going on that hard length we saw from Cornet Dry and Brody Couch. Rasi Theran, someone who's played international cricket for 2 teams, a lot of experience in his hands, is dealing with a little bit of a niggle, so we'll see how many overs he does bowl, if it's just the 2 up front or if he's able to come back in the death. But so far so good, apart from that first delivery, right on the spot, hitting the right areas.
Yeah, it's the experience of Rasi Theran. He's not going to blow anybody away with his pace, but he's a very canny operator. Nibbles the ball a little bit off the seam. Just makes life difficult for the batters in some kind of unusual ways.
This one pushed in through the offside and going to be saved by mid-off for 1. Didn't quite time it all the way. Mukhtar Ahmed will bring the captain and the MVP of the 2021 edition of minor league cricket, Sami Aslam, to the middle. And he's shown why he's been so valuable. And he, yesterday, was able to get things going early, scoring 90 off 54 not out. Able to pick up the mantle from Mukhtar Ahmed. So, again, a really good player, Sami Aslam. He's played Test cricket for Pakistan, a different format, but he's adjusted to it well. Showed off the range of shots he possesses, and very good with any width. And you have to imagine Rasi Theran going to continue with the body line approach. Goes wide and goes too wide. Going to be an extra there. So the first extra of the day.
Rusty doesn't look thrilled with it. He's having a look at Jermaine Lindo there, the umpire. Have a look on the replay. Can understand why he's a little bit unhappy. It was touch and go on the guideline. I think with the angle, he thought it was hugging just inside.
And this one just gently run down to third man for one. And again, player who likes width, and that's why you're going to consistently see that deep third there early on for Sammy Uslam, because he's just able to use pace and open the face of the bat, score those easy runs behind square. This is the man to watch for Peter Ahmed. Again, has showed off the power. Had some brilliant shots. I can recall that pickup shot he had from batting on the southern end, the opposite end of the ground he's batting on now, into the leg side. But so far, Restaurant, he's kept him in check. And at the end of the first over, it's 7 without loss. And it'll be Justin Dill with the ball in his hand. And again, Justin bowled well from this end a couple of days ago on that hard length. We'll see where he continues to the left-handed Sammy Uslam. Just testing things out at the moment. But again, Justin Dill, someone who's just been really special in minor league cricket, was one of the reasons the New Jersey Stallions were able to get to championship in 2021 and part of the St. Louis Americans, and was their premium strike bowler, 33 wickets over 2 seasons with an economy of 6.85. So you can understand why he is such an asset to have on a side and why many expect him to be off the board in a hurry in the draft that will culminate at the Johnson Space Center this Sunday, March 19th. And again, gently run down to point, and something that Sammy Uslam does a lot early on in his innings is just that kind of run down, looking to keep strike moving. Again, not a huge total, so no need to force anything if you are the Atlanta Fire.
It's a tricky balance for the team chasing here because we talked about this on air the first couple match days. You're not going to impress anybody by nudging singles around here. And yet, if you're a batter, you also don't want to embarrass yourself and get out with a low score, missing out on an opportunity to impress the scouts. You want to impress them by showing you can strike boundaries and be efficient instead of knocking singles around. But you don't want to just burn yourself and get out cheaply, because that's not going to do yourself any favors either. So this is a tricky situation for the Atlanta Fire batters, not just in the context of you want to win the game, but you want to impress the scouts. How do you go about doing that when there's not too many runs to get?
Well, you can see here that little change in the field. That first slip has gone much wider, almost into a gully. And this one thickishly off the outside of the bat, and it's an easy catch, simple, at mid-off, and the first wicket goes. You talked about it, don't want to get out cheaply. They were daring Sammy Uslam to play into the wind on that side of the ground. Couldn't clear it, wasn't able to time it, and the first wicket falls for the Atlanta Fire.
Just the slightest bit of dot ball pressure, that's all it took. And Sammy Uslam feeling that dot ball pressure, just charges down the wicket to try and relieve the pressure and miscues it. Can't clear mid-off up in the ring. A very simple catch taken by Calvin Savage.
Simple indeed, Peter. Simple indeed. And again, it's things like this that can just keep the Knight Riders in the game. It's the experience that you have, and that's why we were saying 127 is not going to be easy, just with the type of bowlers that the Knight Riders possess and playing on a new wicket, a little bit of grip in the wicket. New man comes into the middle. It's Smit Patel, and Smit quite like Semi Aslam in the sense of he likes pace on the ball, likes to play those conventional shots through the ground, and has had to adjust to playing a lot more T20 cricket since coming to the United States, but didn't seem like it was a big adjustment period, as in his first match with the Manhattan Yorkers, 99 not out. Peter Delapenna, you were there in Florida. An impressive cricketer. Again, the Atlanta Fire, they'll need him to be firing to make this an easy run chase. This one will be wide down the leg side there. Well kept by Jaskran Malhotra. But again, this is the start you're looking for if you're the Knight Riders. Take that first wicket. The Atlanta Fire took the first one in the second over. The trend follows. This one, just that inward movement. Bit more grass on this second wicket we're using today. This one hits straight back down the ground. That's going to go all the way for 4. As straight as you like. We talked about it. Very conventional stroke player. Times it beautifully. And timed that one down the ground for 4.
Yeah, Justin Dill just over pitching slightly. And Smit Patel is driving through the line. Gets it through, mid off. Easy as you like.
This time comes down the track, and Justin Dill adjusts it well. Keeps him on the back foot. So one delivery left in this over, and again, quick wickets are what's going to be key for the Knight Riders. We talked about the Atlanta Fire taking their first one in the second. And then from there, it seemed like almost every other over they were getting a wicket. Got one in the third, got one in the fifth. Got one again in the sixth. So kept things, the Atlanta Fire kept the Knight Riders on the back foot the entire length of the way, keeping things uncomfortable. This one just run to that gully position, and that'll be the end of the second over. At the end of 2, it's 12 for loss of 1. Two overs gone here in the second innings, and will continue to be Rusty Theron from the southern end. Just gave up 7 in his first over. Starts out with the wide down the leg side again, just trying to attack the body of Mukhtar Ahmed, not give him the width that we've seen him take advantage of so far.
And again, Rusty's just, see, it doesn't look like he's 100%. When he's at his best, when he's at his sharpest, these are the subtle things that you don't see coming out of him.
Again, UMMC don't want to be leaking runs. Not many to work with, and don't want to give any freebies here. But look at this. Again, just creating problems and asking all the right questions right now is Rusty Theron. Just hurrying on. Getting a little bit of extra bounce onto Mukhtar Ahmed as they get away with 1 there.
And just cramping him up. That's more of what you expect from Rusty Theron.
Getting the field set here for Rusty Theron. They have a deep third man who's incredibly wide and a deep backward square for that hard length, as this one's just run to point. Pretty similar to the way we saw Noman Anwar get dismissed by Brody Couch. Felt like it was off that length, and this caught a little bit more of the outer piece of the bat, but again, very similar lengths, and UMMC have definitely learned from what the Atlanta Fire have done in the first innings, going on that, aided by the grass on the wicket so far. This one jags, and there it is. Second wicket goes. This time it's Smit Patel. We just talked about how Mukjan was positioned just a touch wider than conventionally he would be. A big hug there to second slip, and the second wicket goes. Again, it's that length that creates that issue, Peter.
Well, he was probing away and probing away and probing away. And just that pressure building, almost an identical ball to the previous one that beat him through the gate. And instead, this time, Smit Patel overcompensates, getting too far inside the line. And it just climbs off the shoulder of the bat, going to slip. So, even if he's not at his best, Rusty Theron shows how threatening he can be.
Getting the vast amounts of experience for Rusty Theron, all paying off there. Just coming back in on Smit Patel, rising on him. And Umung John made that catch look really easy. He was racing towards him. You could see him flip the hands too. Sure-handed fielder there at second slip. And again, need to take wickets at regular intervals. It's kind of the pattern that's working so far. At the end of 3 overs, UMMC, they were 15 for 2 right now. The Atlanta Fire are 14 for 2 as Saif Badar comes into the middle.
Yeah, we're in a dogfight right now. I'm watching these two teams scrap it out. Doesn't look like anything's going to come too easy, and it makes that 49 by Ali Sheikh look all the more impressive, seeing how Atlanta Fire have struggled to get out in the early part of this power play.
Saif Badar has played in the Pakistani under-19 setup. It's a good bat in his own right. And a flick one and just get a dot ball to start things off. But again, never going to be easy to get in straight away with the way Rusty Theron's bowling.
He's dusted off the cobwebs, Rusty. Whatever injury issue he's had, just takes him a little bit of time to get the wheels greased up a bit.
Again, Rusty Theron's just gotten things going. He's been hot early, and it's not going to be easy for Saif Badar, even capable of bat in his own right. It's not going to be easy for him to get going straight away. Mukhtar Ahmed stranded at the non-striker's end at the moment, but it'll be on the striker's end to start the next over. At the end of 3, it's a brilliant one for UMMC. 14 for loss of 2. Justin Dill to continue. Will be his second over, and starts on that length and just keeping things tough. Mukhtar Ahmed, it hasn't been the easy going that he got off to just a couple of days ago when he scored his half century and was able to take boundaries early and often. Took Ali Khan for 20 runs and 1 over. So far today, though, just 6 from 7. This time, it's a leading edge. Third man's in place. Should be taken, and it won't be. Straight through, and it'll be 4. It was in the air for a long time, wind swirling around. It felt like he had covered up the ball entirely, but instead nutmegs him for 4.
Looked like Sarbjeet Lada out there, and he was fighting with the wind. This one, he didn't move that far. He was settled under it, and then all of a sudden, the last minute just died on him. Needed to come in a few more yards, and I'm not even sure if he got a hand to it in the end.
Again, shock from UMMC. It would have been a huge blow to the Fire's batting attack, but 4 more. And a life for Mukhtar Ahmed. Not a man you want to give a life to. Has been lighting up this MLC Champions Open.
Those little things that can make a difference on draft day, not just for Sarbjeet Lada if you're evaluating his fielding, but Justin Dill looks an awful lot more impressive if he's got a wicket next to his name than that of Mukhtar Ahmed.
Would have been a second wicket. It just would have only haven't given up 5 runs. And again, you still expect him to be pretty high pick, but everything matters here. This one carries over the top of Mukhtar Ahmed. He just looked to take this one straight back down the ground. A little bit extra bounce. You could hear the effort from Justin Dill as he released it.
And just the strange thing about the chance was the ball was in the air forever, and he didn't really have far to move. He only had to move 3 or 4 yards, and he just stayed stationary for a good 2-3 seconds. And then at the very last moment, he realized, uh-oh, this isn't going to carry to me.
This one, quick single attempt, a chance of a run out. Direct hit would have been close. I think he would have had him. I think Saifadar would have been gone had that one crashed on the stumps.
And we had a perfect angle here. Nitish Kumar charging in from cover. That was a shortstop style effort, throwing across your body after charging across the infield. And we were on line with the stumps at the angle that he threw at from about 12 yards out. And he just missed by about 6 inches. It's not easy throwing across your body like that because your body's going basically towards the mid-off area, and he's kind of trying to throw towards fine leg, so he's throwing across his body, and you can see Justin Dill with hands over his face for the second time in the over.
Just desperate for that wicket. This time an outside edge, should carry, should be taken, and put down again. The second time, Sarbjeet Lada does put one down in the over. This time it was in all the way. You can see Jaskar Malhotra going to go have a word with his deep third, but a second drop.
This was the opposite problem of the first one. This time he came in too hot. The previous chance he stayed back too deep. He didn't come in far enough. This time he came in way too hot. He charged in too much, and the ball had a lot more steam on it, and he just didn't have his lower body settled. His lower body was still moving at that. He was pushing at it with hard hands, and it just popped in and out very, very hard.
Both batters now been given a life, and if you're UMMC, if you're Sarbjeet Lada, knowing there's not many runs on the board, it's just not something that's going to help your cause. So that'll close out the 4th over. It's 20 for 2, and Justin Dill is going to have the feeling it should be 20 for 4. If that. As Rusty Theron, who's going to go 3 on the trot here. Again, on the body line, tucked into the leg side for 1. Again, you feel even if just one of those 2 catches are taken, it's a huge blow into that Atlanta Fire batting lineup. Again, very deep lineup. You can't afford to drop chances, and if you're Ludda as well, again, it's not a good look in front of scouts. It's always something you're going to be thinking about. everything matters when you go into this draft. And again, he's looked great with the ball in hand. Was undone early with the bat, and now in the field hasn't put his best foot forward. This one, though, more convincing. No one in the deep there. And Mukhtar Ahmed, he's had a couple of boundaries already. This time, though, this was the best of the lot and has been called a 4.
I'm not sure who's agonizing over that one more. Rusty Tehran, Justin Dill, or Sarabjit Lada. This one in the slot, he just overpitched it, and Mukhtar not troubled whatsoever.
It looked like this one might have came on the rope directly. Just hung up right before there, but again, 4 runs and the first convincing boundary of the innings, and some confidence for Mukhtar Ahmed. This time goes with a pull shot off the length. Will get 1. Again, it's been tough sledding and given a life in the previous over. Gonna try to capitalize. Bring Saif Badar back on to strike again. Also been given a life. Hasn't found rhythm quite yet. But a man with plenty of experience and capable with the bat in his own right. Looked very good on day 1. That's Sunday. That opened the Champions Open. And this one will be run to third man.
Just when you see some of these miscues in the field, one area where U.S. domestic cricket has an awful lot of depth is in the spin department. There's no shortage of quality leg spinners and left-arm spinners in particular. And if you're weak in the field, you wonder how much that'll count against you in the context of the fact that there are so many other options available. You've got quality spinners who are also quality fielders, the likes of Marty Kane and Nastish Kenjige. Vatsal Vagela, excellent fielder in his own right. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, Ali Sheikh. All these guys are top-notch fielders. And you wonder how much of a red mark will be put against the name of somebody who has bowled well, Sarabjit Lada has throughout this week, but 2 straightforward chances should have been taken.
This one hit up in the air. Justin Dill underneath it. And he takes it. No mistake this time. And that's the end. Was given a life. Mukhtar Ahmed hits a 4 afterwards. And this time, though, just hung up in the air. And Justin Dill, 2 catches dropped off his over, says, I got the safe hands this time.
And this one went straight up. And Dill, this was not easy by any means. He had to backpedal some way. And when you're on your heels like that, well, this can be almost sneaky difficult in a sense. And Rusty Tehran had his eyes locked on Justin Dill. You can see the trouble he was having. Got his feet into a tangle. Not really the best body position at all, but makes up for it with his athleticism and hand-eye coordination to latch onto that one. And the look on Rusty Tehran's face when that wicket was taken and he let out a howl. He was roaring when that one was taken, as he knows how devastating Mukhtar Ahmed has been this week. And for somebody who hasn't been able to contribute a full quota of overs because of fitness issues, having 2 next to his name here in this opening spell will mean an awful lot to Rusty Tehran.
He deserves it. He's bowled well, and that'll bring Dominic Rickey into the middle. Man who's played for the USA, debuted in 2021, also member of the New Jersey Stallions, a top-order batter for them, and big part of their success. Has 859 runs through minor league cricket. Has a strike rate of 114, so maybe not the quickest of guys, but able to turn on the heat, and 350s in minor league as well, and he'll have an opportunity with the bat here for the first time. See what Dominic Rickey's able to do. We'll final delivery of this 5th over. And it's pushed into the offside. A crunch off the bat and 4 runs to open the account.
And Dominic Rickey, when he's played on turf wickets on good surfaces, he's produced runs. Some of those stats are a bit deceptive because the wickets he's been playing on with New Jersey have not been the greatest for scoring runs, but here shows his class with this shot, finding the rope. And after 5 overs, it's 33 for 3.
Well, what a start it's been. Eventful to say the least. 33 for 3 after 5. And work to be done for the Atlanta Fire. Still a relatively calm run chase, you would think. Just needing above a run a ball. But the seamers in this Knight Riders side have kept them always in the game. Could be doing that again here. Savage into the attack for the first time. Saif Badar has had to battle hard in the 6 deliveries he's faced. And you see all of that, Peter De La Pena, and then you see Dominic Ricky. First delivery, making it look like it's a completely different pitch. Yes, he got width, but still, he looks up to the task.
Yeah, it was on that length where sometimes you got in some variable bounce, bang it in short, back of a length, and that time it just set up for him though. He's able to carve it through backward point. Saif Badar in a little bit of trouble here, taking his gloves off after getting hit on that last delivery.
Looking to work it through that onside. There is the deep backward square, but fine leg is up in the circle. Wonder if he can utilize that chance he was given. Saif Badar already has a 50 in the MSC Champions Open. This man, Calvin Savage, though, this will be a surface that he will be relishing the opportunity to bowl on. Has a bit of extra pace. Live green grass, and you're getting a couple deliveries to really bounce off of a full length. He's a tall man, Savage. At least 6 foot.
Well, if this total looks bad now, imagine how bad it would have looked without that 20-run burst, or 18-run burst from Ali Sheikh in the final over. At least it's given him a fighting chance here.
It was a really impressive innings from the youngster. The fact that you have so many established former international players batting above you. They don't get runs, but you're able to just punch out a score. You had to fight his way to that 49. And I think those are the totals that the scouts will be looking at in terms of the resilience shown, the fortitude, battling through adversity. Excellent from the young man. Struggling with the line here, Calvin Savage. 3 wides now in the over. I think it's, if you look at the 3 days of this MSC Champions Open, Peter, his stock has risen. Ali Sheikh, 3 wickets 2 days ago. He's taken some good catches and now has runs to back it up.
Well, it's not just the raw stats, it's when he's done it too, at the death on both occasions. The 3-wicket haul, all 3 wickets came in the 20th over, and then again today, when did he score the bulk of his runs in the 20th over? So if you got somebody who can excel at the death, both with the bat and with the ball, that is a blue chip prospect.
So an attacking field from Jaskar Malhotra. He's got Umuk Chan at slip. And then Noman Anwar almost at a gully position, or a 3rd slip. He's very wide. Excellent from Ricky, but doesn't time it well. You can see the intent though, trying to go through that cover region. He's looked probably like the best batter so far for the Fire, and he's only faced 3 deliveries. End of the 6th over and the power play, 39 for 3. power play done and dusted. And this run chase, where the Fire looking for 127 runs, would go a long way in putting them in tomorrow's final of this MLC Champions Open. Probably alongside or against this Knight Riders side. They've won 2 out of 2. Pretty much have qualified. But they still want to win this or even get close if they do lose. Rusty Theron is going to bowl his 3rd over. 4th over, actually, which is impressive to see because he was struggling with injury a couple of days ago. 2 for 22 in his 3 overs. Run out chance at the bowler's end. Could have been close.
There's been a couple of those from Nitish Kumar in the field. That cover, he's been a live wire this morning. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to hit the stumps, but he's been putting the pressure on in this Atlanta Fire chase. This one was a tap and run single, and I don't think Saif Badar expected Nitish Kumar to pounce on that one as quickly as he did. And he would have been just home if it had hit, based on that replay. But you don't often see a bowler bowl 4 straight in T20 cricket. I've seen it on a few random occasions. Saw it happen a couple times actually in Argentina when I was down there for the ICC Americas sub-regional qualifier earlier this month. Rusty Tehran bowling 4 straight here, and I think part of the reason why is somewhat fitness related, just the standpoint that once he gets warmed up and he's in a good rhythm, if he's coming off an injury, it can be hard to just get everything oiled up again, get back into gear for a later spell. So he's just going to get everything through in one burst here in order to make sure he gets 4 overs of evaluation in front of the scouts, as he didn't get to do that, didn't come back for a second spell. And I think that's part of the mindset here. Once he's feeling warmed up, he doesn't want to have to do it a second time later in the day in what some ways can be classified as a trial scenario situation.
Goes short, just over the keeper. And that's the extra bounce we've been speaking about on this surface. You can see it right there. Once he got bat on it, Saif Badar was certainly going to go into the boundary. A much better result for the Atlanta Fire. They needed that one.
Well, this was good from Tehran, but even better by Badar. Rusty saw Saif Badar coming down the pitch, telegraphed it a bit too early, and Rusty just dragged the length back a touch, seeing him advance, and it nearly resulted in a wicket, but Badar just able to get enough bat on that to clear. The keeper behind the stumps, Jaskran Malhotra, and goes to the fine leg rope. So good from Rusty Tehran, even better from Saif Badar.
So real battle unfolding in the middle. Bat v ball. He's sending back a deep cover into place now, so may adjust the length to be a bit fuller. Has 2 fielders on the boundary, but he has mid off up in the circle. So if he goes wide Yorker, that could be a tactic. Instead he goes straight, maybe in a double bluff. Doesn't carry to that fielder at deep backward square, just a single. Credit to Rusty Theron though, 37 years old, even with fitness issues, still able to prove that he can bowl 4 on the trot, running into the wind. And also his pace has been up as well. He's looked very strong in these couple of days of this MLC Champions Open.
Well, you talked about running into the wind. I remember there was a conversation with him on one tour with the USA where somebody asked him, how is it that you've been so successful bowling into the wind? And he basically said, because again, you've got Ali Khan as the premium bowling pacer with USA, bowling with the wind in his back. He's basically said, I've been bowling into the wind for the majority of my career. It's rare in South Africa that he was the first pace option, so he's had to do the hard yards everywhere.
That is a shot, a top-class shot from Dominic Ricky. And there's something about the way he's timing the ball to start this innings. Wow.
Yeah, like I said earlier, on turf pitches, especially here in Texas, he scored a century here in the USA Cricket Men's National Championships back in November 2021. And when he gets a good surface to bat on, he can showcase his skills. Originally coming out of the Guyana junior setup. And his stats are a bit deceptive. 50 for 3 after 7.
Again, extra bounce, Calvin Savage. He will tend to extract that because of that height. But I think the Atlanta Fire's best bet at chasing this total will be for Dominic Rickey to face the majority of deliveries. Remember, he's an opening batter, but he's batting at 5 today. It's the first game and opportunity he's getting in this Champions Open, and has a real platform with still 77 more runs needed to prove himself.
This is a great opportunity for Dominic Rickey because he has been out of the USA framework for some time. So this is a great opportunity for him to remind everybody of what he's capable of. Again, those stats for the New Jersey Stallions, his strike rate just a shade over 110, but again, he's playing on not the best wickets, not the best outfields in some parts of those venues in the Eastern Conference. So it's a bit harder to evaluate somebody when compared to the players in the Western Conference, especially the guys in Texas, the ones play a lot of their cricket in and around Houston who are playing on turf wickets regularly, and you get a much more accurate idea of how they can perform.
Another swing across the line. Nothing there for Saif Badar. It's been a struggle for him. But remember, when he got that 50 in game number 1 for this Fire team, took them very close to that total. It was a similar surface, tacky, tough for batting. And he found a way to just fight through the tough period and then propel his innings as the surface got a bit better. Again down the leg side. Savage is really struggling with that line. And it's not to say that this surface is the same as that on day 1, because as Dominic Rickey is showing, the ball is coming onto the bat nicely. But there is something in it for these seamers because of that green grass, and it makes batting tougher. The surface with this type of pace in it.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of seam movement. But at the moment, it's just too much movement. Calvin Savage struggling to control the ball. And the wind also affecting things.
This time gets it right. So we want to close out this over well. Calvin Savage. Just 5.92 runs per over needed. So no need to rush anything if you're the Fire, even outside this power play. They don't have a lot to come. That's something to keep an eye on. Zia Shazad, the only real recognized batter. They're not playing Bhaskar Yadram today. So their depth has taken a hit, trying to give others an opportunity. Matthew Trump can bat as well, though. So you think about some all-rounders to come. But you think these two, you want them ideally batting till the 10th over, until maybe 50 runs to get. Because 73 runs on this surface could be a long way away. well-timed stroke, but straight to the fielder. Did you see the news today, Peter Dalapena? The Washington Freedom, first franchise announced of the Major League Cricket teams. What do you make of that?
That's not bad. I like it. I like the original names. No, there's another name from Seattle that the official announcement hasn't come out yet, but I saw their Twitter handle already. They've already created a Twitter account. It's the Seattle Orcas. It's going to be the Seattle team. So if you have been paying attention on Twitter, you would know the Seattle Orcas. That's going to be the Seattle franchise. It's 56 for 3 after 8.
Back live at the Prairie View Cricket Complex. A good run chase unfolding here. Hard to pick a team that you say in the advantage. And this man could be a difference maker. Sarvjit Ladha has been one of the standout bowlers in this week of matches. 2 for 12 in his first game and 2 for 30 in his second. Always in the wickets. The leg spinner. Be interesting to see if he bowls with as much flight as usual on a surface like this, with a lot more green grass, ball not already spinning. And of course, with that wind factor, we'll have to be very careful because if he gets it wrong, he could go the distance. Fascinating passage of play. And starts with a quick one. That one just skid on. He's very skillful, Sarvjit Ladha. He's bowled the most dot balls in the tournament as well.
And he's definitely benefited from the fact that the spinners have gotten a lot of not just turn, but variable bounce. There's been sideways movement and up and down movement. It's made them dangerous as a slip comes into play now after that first delivery.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch. And what was most impressive, I think, he gave away 30 runs in his 4 overs and picked up 2 wickets in the last game on a pitch where bowlers really went the distance, especially the slower bowlers. But he showed, bowled 11 dot balls in that game. He showed that he was capable of still keeping things together, keeping things tight, and taking wickets. Man with IPL experience. So definitely one to watch. Leg spinners are gold in T20 cricket. We've seen with the Rashid Khans, Shadab Khans, Imran Tahir's. Keeping things cool at the moment though, the Atlanta Fire. Probably what's required. Exactly what Ali Sheikh and Justin Dill did well in that partnership. Tentative at the moment, but you don't mind that if you're the Fire. Asking rate is not going anywhere, just a run a ball.
If you're Dominique Ricky, you've already showcased some of your classy shots, shown what's in your arsenal. Against a spinner like Sarvjit Ladha, you can just afford to knock singles around here. You don't have to take too many risks.
Down the track. Has he got enough? Yes, he has. I think just one bounce into the boundary, but Dominique Ricky placement was very precise. Knew that that long off fielder was very wide, and he's able to find the boundary. This is an impressive 9 delivery so far.
Oh, he's showing what he can do against pace, and now he's showing what he can do against spin. He's decided, no, I do want to take this risk. It's a worthwhile risk because I want to show what I can do in front of these franchise scouts. And they like to see footwork. They want to know you can play spin. And he's certainly demonstrating that here. They want to know you can play the short ball. They want to know you can take on spin, use your feet. You're not going to get stuck on the crease. You can use the depth of the crease, find different ways of achieving success against spin, and Dominic Ricky's doing that here.
There was some confusion, I think, between whether it was the over or not. So, over has been completed. That's all that the Fire need, just 7 runs and over. 63 for 3. Been tough going. That run rate, though, has increased since this partnership has come together. Saif Badar, the slower of the two, but we know that he can catch up in terms of this innings. It's very important, these two, that they stay in the middle. Justin Dill continuing. I think he just looks to sort of farm the strike to Dominic Ricky, given the way he's begun.
Well, the smart play here is just get Dominic Ricky on strike because he's the hot hand. But here's Saif Badar. Again, this could be your last opportunity to showcase your skills. Rains in the forecast tomorrow, so we're not exactly sure how much play we're going to get tomorrow. So that both these guys are going to seize as many opportunities as they can get here at the middle to showcase what they can do in this run chase. As they take a quick single, good drop and run by Dominic Ricky. There's thunderstorms in the forecast for tomorrow, on and off. So, not sure how much play we'll get. And yeah, if you're Dominic Ricky in particular, this is your chance to really make an impression here before the draft on Sunday. We saw Saif Badar make a half century, so he's got credit in the bank, but Dominic Ricky hasn't had as much of an opportunity to show what he can do with the bat. As he said, made his debut for USA in September 2021 on the Tour of Oman. And didn't do as well as he would have liked on that tour. And here's a chance to remind people what he can do.
Justin Dill, he deserves some credit as well because he's been equally impressive in these 3 matches he's played. A lot of the times he's had to run from this southern end into the wind and still has been able to hold his own. In match number 1, he bowled 4 consecutive overs from this end and closest to us with the wind pushing him back. And it just shows that he's not the quickest, but he's extremely skilled and will work hard. Went pace off. Don't think he's got enough. Ali Sheikh, he doesn't drop many. That is a big wicket for the Knight Riders. And that man again, Ali Sheikh, with the bat and now with the in the field, really. Huge wicket.
He's checked off every box this week. Ali Sheikh. It's hard to find somebody on the local scene whose stock is rising as fast as it is for number 15 in the UMMC Knight Riders jersey. You can see why he made himself a hot prospect in the USA Junior scene, and now he's doing it potentially on the franchise scene here. This was not an easy catch, fighting with the wind. He had a lot of ground to cover, about 20 yards, and not a lot of time to do it, but he gets there, and shows off that tremendous athleticism that he has. Ali Sheikh out of Plano, Texas. And I can see Aman Patel's pen scribbling furiously after that wicket, and I'm sure some of the scouts in the tent next door are writing just as many notes on their notepads to mark down what Ali Sheikh has been doing here. Again, we talked about the 3-wicket over he had at the death a couple days ago. 18 runs in the 20th over earlier today, and now an outstanding catch on the boundary. He's got all 3 boxes ticked in terms of what you look for in a T20 player to give you the maximum value. And the added bonus is that he fits into the under 23 age bracket, which is a requirement for draft selection on Sunday. So everything trending in the right direction for Ali Sheikh.
It's a really interesting one because I don't think on a normal day without the win, that would have carried to him. Didn't get it anywhere close to the middle of the bat, Dominic Ricky, but the wind may have just carried it to deep backward square. May have been struck on the hand there. Zia Shazad, welcome to the crease. End of 10 overs. This game in the balance, 66 for 4.
We'll welcome you to the last 10 of this 5th match of the MLC Champions Open between UMMC and the Atlanta Fire. After that sensational catch by Ali Sheikh, UMMC pep in their step. As Sarbjeet Ladda will continue as Aman Patel, joined by Brian Walters. Brian, has been an impressive fight back with the ball in hand from UMMC. We knew it was going to take a special effort, and they're putting everything out there right now.
No question. This game is well and truly in the balance. Been a couple of misfields, a couple of drop catches, but you think either team will win from here, and look at this. Sarbjeet Ladda getting one, lobbed or tossing it up beautifully, and advancing down the wicket was Saif Badar. Walked right past it, and Jaskaran Malhotra with a clean stumping. The 5th wicket goes down, man.
And we talked about it earlier today, that grip in the wicket. What's it going to do? And we've seen Ladda be so good throughout this tournament, flighting it. Now with a little bit of extra grip in the wicket, you knew it was just a matter of time before he put his stamp on the game. Take a look at this. Flight it up, pushed away from the reach of Badar. A little bit of turn as well. And Jaskar Malhotra, easiest of stumpings. Did the ass just for a little bit of extra flair, but Ladda again, just so good. Beat him in flight, and that was all she wrote. And there you go. It's just a run a ball about, but with 5 wickets down, it just becomes ever more intriguing.
You get the sense that Saif Badar decided ahead of time to advance down the wicket because it was not the type of delivery that was tossed up and it was close to him where he could skip down. It was delivered from wide of the crease, and it was going to be well outside the line of off stump. He advanced directly down the wicket as opposed to getting across in line with the ball. And so even without that little bit of turn, you wonder whether or not he'd have even been able to play that. But ended up just walking right past it. One of the easiest stumpings that Jaskar and Malhotra will ever have. And if we had a win predictor here, Aman, it would be somewhere around 51-49. It's hard to say which team would have the advantage because UMMC Knight Riders have fought back into this match really from the last 5 overs from when they were batting courtesy of Ali Sheikh. And now with 5 wickets down, but really all the Atlanta Fire needs to do is continue. And this is, looks like Justin Dill about to get another over. In fact, that's Calvin Savage. Calvin Savage about to bowl another over. It's so important here that they maintain that pressure. Calvin Savage has bowled 6 wides so far. It's up to him to keep that ball on or around off stump and make corner drive play from that line. Anything too straight, whether it goes down the leg side for wides or too far outside, that offers scoring opportunities.
Well, starts on the legs, and interestingly enough, he's starting on the leg, especially when you look at this leg side field. One man inside the ring, really at mid-on, and one deep mid-wicket. And outside of that, everyone else on the offside of the ground. So it'd be interesting enough. And you also have that deep, fine leg. So you would have to imagine he is going to hang around off stump and has that protection there just in case they want to access the leg side. But like you mentioned, Calvin Savage, #1 priority, control the extras. As this one's pushed and that quick single's taken.
That's where he needs to bowl. His captain will be happy if he bowls the remaining 4 balls on that line. You know, if you make any deviation, deviate with your length. But that line on off stump is where he needs to be bowling from. And even though he has conceded 2 singles, I think the more important thing for him is that he's going to need to make sure that that line remains consistent. 6 of your teammates are on that side of the field. That's where you need to be bowling.
Full balls down the leg side again. As we mentioned, has the fine leg in place, and I think that's more of just a precautionary fielder. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a wicket-taking fielder, or he's going to bowl a short ball that's going to attack and utilize that fielder, just more so because he's been straying down to the leg side.
And you name it. You nailed it. If it were an attacking sort of fielder, he'd be much squarer, I get the sense. He'd be somewhere closer to backward square. That fine leg fielder is there because so many balls have just gone down the leg side, and the batters who are glancing at those deliveries, any edge takes it very fine.
Edged, or just, excuse me, glanced into the leg side. It was in the air for a moment with a short mid-wicket. And so maybe you're going to start to be straighter. I think part of the reason he was struggling with those extras, maybe because the wind was blowing from what is across his left to his right. So
Correct.
as your screen is right now, from the left to the right of your screen. And so just maybe that's influenced the ball maybe a touch. Can't imagine it's a huge part of it, but always something to consider. This time again on to the body and tickled into the leg side for 1 out to fine leg. They're going to push for 2? No. I think they both took the first one a little bit too nonchalantly to even consider that second.
Well, if you look at the scorecard, this over almost appears like it's a spinner bowling. 5 singles from 5 balls. I think it might be testament to the fact that Calvin Savage still just bowling a touch too straight for me. I think I want that ball more on the line of off, or maybe even the 4th stump. We're being exhorted by the former South African international Dane Pete. Last delivery.
This one looked like he rolled the fingers over it right outside the off stump, and Brian Walters saying this is what you should have been doing all over long. Finishes off well, only 5 runs from the 12th over. It's 72 for a loss of 5.
72 for 5, and then looking at the batting to come, one name that you will still see probably padded up now is Matthew Trump. Interestingly, in the Houston Youth Premier League last weekend here in Houston, make that in Pearland at Musa Stadium, Matthew Trump played against his brother Joshua Trump. Josh batted first in the T20, opened the batting, scored 185 not outs. In response, Matthew Trump, chasing 240, chased it with 2 overs to spare, 189 not outs.
Just one up in the other, and so it'll be exciting to see if the Atlanta Fire utilize Matthew Trump, one half of the Trump twins. But right now it's UMMC utilizing Akilish Bargadum, who came in, bowled yesterday, bowled well in his own right, picked up a couple of wickets, and again part of the Seattle Thunderbolts squad, and a big part of that. Can remember at Churchill Park taking the big wicket of Stephen Taylor.
Yes.
Get him caught at deep mid-wicket. So he's got the field spread out, Deep cover. Long off, long on. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. This one short and cut straight to that cover fielder. And again, this feels like a very defensive bowling strategy. Going to come in, bowl quick through the air, and I think he's going to just throw one or two of those flighted ones, but kind of be more of that Emilio Ponzo type bowler who's just attacking.
It's certainly defensive, but what it also does is continue to increase the pressure by bowling those dot balls. Note now that that required rate is above 7. It's now 7.07.
Again, he's going on the back of a length, and they're trying to take these quick singles, the Atlanta Fire, because it's anyone's game. We talked about it during this little break. At the moment, just required run rate just a touch over 7. Only 5 wickets to get for UMMC. It's going to go down to the wire here. It's exactly what you want in a contest, as they'll sneak one down the ground. Looking for that competitive game, Brian.
Well, on the ride over here, you said that's exactly what you wanted. Was a competitive game. You asked, and the Atlanta Fire and the UMMC Knight Riders answered, bearing in mind that this game seemed pretty one-sided up until about the 15-over mark of the first innings.
Absolutely did seem pretty one-sided, but that life given from Ali Sheikh and UMMC never letting up with the ball in hand. 13 overs gone, 77 for loss of 5. Looks like we're going to get spin from both ends and a change of ends for Sarbjit Ludda, who, interestingly enough, was able to take a wicket bowling from the southern end, and now changed over to that northern end where he had primarily bowled over the first 2 match days. So an interesting change here from Captain Jaskaran Malhotra.
Spin has been successful in building the pressure.
Well, how about this? This is one way to relieve pressure. Send a huge 6 over cow corner. We were just talking about it. When do the attacking shots come out? Well, Cornet Dry said, I got one in my slot, and I'm putting it away.
Cornet Dry, obviously primarily a fast bowler, but it strokes the ball beautifully. I don't know that he'd qualify as an all-rounder necessarily, but he has very long arms. He's a tall man, about 6'5", and he has a long reach. And so just extending those arms, that ball was right at driving length, or maybe just short of driving length, but because of his reach, he reaches out and gets that ball and slams it over deep mid-wicket. So we talked about the pressure building. One of the best ways to release that pressure is early in the over to get a big strike like that from the big fast bowler. So that definitely helps. You're only now needing 44 from the last 41 balls, and I really do appreciate that assist because I'll tell you what, that pressure has been released with that one shot. In the context of this game, that is a huge development.
This time slows it down, pulls the length back, and that's where you're going to want to operate. The Atlanta Fire, though, no need to really worry about it. In the previous 2 overs, they got 5 each. Now you're talking about a 6 to start things off. So if you're able to milk a couple of singles from here, you'll have a really good over on your hands. So no need for any unnecessary risk. This one quicker pulled. Going to be pulled into leg side for 1.
So before this over, the last 5 had yielded 21 runs. So they were definitely sort of in second gear. They were kind of motoring along. They had to be careful or more conservative with an approach because of the fact that they lost 5 wickets. But now is when I think they can be a little bit more adventurous in terms of looking for those quick singles. And then if you get a ball to hit, then you can cash in.
Well, CSSR try to this one into the leg side, but could only find fine leg and Akhilesh Bogadam inside the ring. And played it very late, a rather risky shot there, Brian.
Yeah, and the ball stayed just a touch low also. So good 4 deliveries so far. Make that 3 deliveries after the 6. So just 2 balls remaining here in the 14th. 7 runs scored from it so far.
Flighted aerial, and it's going to be another boundary. Tried the flighted one again. This time the sweep shot connects, and it's 4 more.
Yeah, once again, just a little too full by Sabjit Lada, and allowing Saif Badar the opportunity to sweep that one away into the gap. My apologies, Zia Shazad, to sweep that one away into the gap between long on and mid wicket. So yet another pressure releasing type of a shot, and by extension, a pressure release type of an over. 11 runs already from it, and that required rate now down to 6.3. It was up above 7, was approaching 8 not too long ago. It's now down to 6.3, so you're almost back into the range where a ball will win this match for you. So this feels like a transformational over, Aman, because it takes the pressure completely off of the Atlanta Fire. They were definitely under pressure, but this, I think, puts them in a much better position.
And I think that's what Jaskar Malhotra was thinking, yes, can be a transformational over, but if we get a couple wickets here from Sarjeet Ladda. Instead, the Atlanta Fire have picked up a couple of boundaries and just changed the whole complexion of the match. And to Ladda's credit, that delivery was well outside the off stump. Zia Shazad took it all the way across the stumps. So definitely some element of risk, but he executed it well enough. Again, the sweep shot, this time on the ground, straight to deep mid-wicket. And he'll finish off the 14th over. A good one for the Atlanta Fire. It's 89 for the loss of 5. Well, more spin being introduced by Jaskar Malhotra because primarily Rusty Theran, he's been used up all 4 overs in the bank. Justin Dill just has 1 over remaining, and Calvin Savage, he has an over remaining, but he's been expensive all the way through the day, and I think he's looking to keep him for the last couple. He's got 2 pacers to work with, so he's going to keep the spin going, and this time it's a youngster who's done it with both the bat, done it in the field, and now hoping to do it with the ball. It's Ali Sheikh.
Everything Ali Sheikh has done today and has touched has turned to gold. Let's see if he can continue that same magic.
Starts off with the single, and again, now you'll mind it if you're UMMC. Maybe an over a go would have been okay, but now you're looking for dot balls, you're looking for wickets at consistent intervals.
Ali Sheikh, left arm orthodox. Primarily bowls arm balls, doesn't turn it a whole lot, but that angle into corner dry I think will be one that will be important. Look at the extra bounce in that delivery.
Definitely fires it in, and again, not a short man in the slightest, and very athletic, good shoulder on him. You've seen the throws out from the deep, and he just executes that very well. Took 3 wickets in his final over yesterday. And there's one there, right on cue. The big fist bump comes out. Cornet dry, looking to run it down to third man, just chops it on. And Jaskar Malhotra with a big fist bump as well. There goes wicket number 6.
I said earlier, 2 balls ago, that everything Ali Sheikh has touched today has turned to gold. Is Ali Sheikh going to be the reason why the UMMC Knight Riders remain undefeated in this match? Delivery very straight, corner drive. Probably if he had to do it over, would have been playing that in the V as opposed to be playing it away on the offside. And I'll tell you what, looking to run that through sort of the backward point area, but that ball was entirely too straight for that shot. See on the replay, that might actually have come off the inside edge of the bat. You see the celebration there from both Ali Sheikh and Captain Jaskaran Malhotra. The 6th wicket goes down. The score is 90 for 6, and this game takes yet another turn.
Yet another turn indeed, Brian. And again, Ali Sheikh already has a player of the match in this tournament. He's looking for player of the match number 2, and with the way he batted, 49 runs, someone who you could definitely look at. And there you go, Brian, right on cue. It's Matthew Trump, who's come in with the pads on, the yellow helmet on as well. You mentioned 186. Was that the total number?
189 not out.
Well, there you go. He only needs 37.
He won't need anything near that much.
Won't need 189, but he's going to have to face Ali Sheikh. And we saw Matthew Trump bowl Ali Sheikh earlier today. Now we get to see the youngsters back in action, facing off this time with the ball in Ali Sheikh's hands.
Wow. So Matt Trump not going to be asked to do anything crazy here. Just needing to look to pick some singles up.
And Reduso straight away gets one, and they're going to think about 2. They're going to go for 2. And the throw not going to affect anything there. Just from Malhotra trying to do a little bit extra at the end. But Matthew Trump very quick. Zia Shahzad, I think, said very early we're going to go and take 2.
That is good running. Absolutely good running by Matthew Trump. Ably supported there also by Zia Shahzad because he was running to the danger end. The throw, of course, going to the far end, to Matthew Trump's end, but he was home easily.
The switch hit comes out. Appeal kind of stifled, but Matthew Trump, after playing with a straight bat early, saw that third man's inside the ring. Want to show Peter De La Pena one of his favorite shots.
Looking to sweep that one again, reverse sweep well outside the line of off. No question that that was not LBW, but adventurous here by Matthew Trump.
And this time more conventionally played through mid-wicket. Well stopped at short mid-wicket, but won't save any runs out there. And that'll close out the 15th over. Ali Sheikh picks up a wicket. It's 93 for the loss of 6.
Brian Walters, what a game we have on our hands. 34 to get from 30 deliveries. Hard to pick a winner. You would think maybe the fight at this stage, but no real batting to come. Aponzo can maybe contribute a few hits, but he's not known to be an out-and-out batsman.
You would think that this pair would have to put them over the top. And it looks like Calvin Savage with the ball in hand. Been expensive, and the line has been all over the place. So let's see if he can fix that here.
I think Trump, as you said, I need to hear more about this. 189 not out. Were you bowling at them, Brian?
Unfortunately, I was not.
Sounds like you were just giving them throwdowns.
240 was the first inning score, and Josh Trump is the one who scored 181 not out. Matthew Trump's team chased it easily with 2 overs to spare, and he ended up on 189. And his father, Brett Trump, was there to watch every single ball of both sons' innings. I'll tell you just from personal experience, senior kids excel at sports in an environment like that is one that is really, really pleasing. He's been asked to do something very different here today, though. All he needs to do is just stay here with his partner. Just needs Zia Shahzad to focus on what needs to happen, as this is slapped down to mid-off, and they'll run through for a single.
But they know exactly what is required per over. They don't need to do anything extravagant. However, the Knight Riders have bowled well, so it's not going to be easy by any means. Look at what's to come as well. Calvin Savage into his 4th and final over. He won't be able to contribute anymore. Rusty Theron is also bowled out. So ideally you're only looking at 1 more over of pace from Justin Dill. And maybe the likes of Lara, Badogam and Ali Sheikh to close out this inning. So it could be an all-spin affair.
I would have to think that Ali Sheikh, not only is he a good bowler, but everything that he's done today has worked in favor of Jaskaran Malhotra and the UMMC Knight Riders. So for me, he's the key the rest of the way. Still has 3 overs to go, just bowled at 1, so I would think you'd give him the ball. He won't be able to bowl all 3, but I think 17 and 19 may just be his.
Doing what's required, as Zia Shazad showed in that last over, where he got 12 in that over against Ladder. If you get a boundary every 2 overs, you can continue to take low risks and win this game. All about situational awareness and how you sort of construct these remaining 27 balls. They'll be disappointed if they don't get home from here at the Atlanta Fire. Done a lot of hard work with the ball to get them to this position. I got over from Calvin Savage though, just 4 runs from it, 97 for 6. For 6.
97 for 6. They've gone back to Sarjeet Lada. You mentioned that there's 1 over left from a pacer. That 1 over would be bowled, in theory, by Justin Dill. But in the last 24 balls, Sarjeet Lada still is only bowled 2 overs, make that 3 overs. So he has 1 left. This will be his last. Looking to bowl to Zia Shazad.
Hit on the back leg. Umpire Lindo though wasn't interested. May have been some bat involved. Heard a woody sound.
Looking for the reverse sweep. Seen that shot employed a number of times today. Not always successful. Boy, we were just slightly shielded there from the point of impact. But let's just take your word for it that that might have come off the inside edge. But a relatively risky shot. They don't need to do anything just like that just yet. Scoring opportunities are there if they play conventionally.
This time though, it keeps low. And this is why Malhotra went back to Sarjeet Lada to get an important wicket. And he's done just that. Trouble for the Atlanta Fire.
That ball staying low. He went back, committing the cardinal sin of going back to a full delivery. You don't leave yourself any room for error if the ball doesn't bounce the way you're expecting it. So you'll see here on the replay, going back deep in his crease. That ball is very full from angled over the wicket, pitching and straightening, and I think that's hitting middle stump. Boy, a big wicket in the context of things. Zia Shazad goes only 12 from 16, and all of a sudden, with Matthew Trump, the senior partner, now 5 from 6. He's going to be joined at the wicket by the new batter. New batter is Amilo Aponso. And all of a sudden, 30 runs are still needed and still another 22 balls to be bowled. So the equation gets a little bit more away from the Atlanta Fire and in favor of the UMMC Knight Riders, a team that seemed to have been down and out halfway, make that the 15 over mark of the first innings, but they've fought back brilliantly here. And as of right now, I think they have the Atlanta Fire in a bit of a spot of bother.
And that's the thing about this surface. Don't see many deliveries gripping, so Lada trying to bowl the leg break, but just went straight on and crashed into the pad of Zia Shazad. Now, Amilo Aponso's come to the middle. He can play a cameo for the Fire. He's done it in the past in the minor league, so this game is not over yet. But they'll want to get through this ladder over because this man has been so dangerous in the last 2 days. The changes of pace, I find on tougher surfaces for spin, he's definitely increased his pace. compared to someone like on the first day where we saw a pitch with moisture. Ball was gripping. He was a lot slower, more flight. Very skillful campaigner.
He's also very motivated because of the 2 drop catches earlier on in this innings, but he's done well to fight back here.
Beats everyone and everything. And this will be runs. Valuable runs for the Fire. Don't think it gets to the boundary though, so a rare miss of line, because even though bat came off of it, you don't think he'll want to be down the leg side anyway. Thought initially it was a wide, but there have been some bat on it.
Yeah, certainly bat on that. No indication from umpire Jermaine Lindo that that was anything but bat. So you'll take the extra ball in terms of not having conceded a wide, but you want to be a little bit more toward off stump.
Went for the big heave of Ponzo, but it's an interesting tactic trying to take on that big side. And that's why Malhotra brought ladder from this end. Have 2 right-handers. Know the ball is not spinning, so you want them hitting into the bigger side, into the wind as well. That's why you've also seen ladder not flight many deliveries. Very flat, so that it doesn't give Trump enough time to go through that offside, where it's much more favorable for the batter. Good over though for Siddish Ladder, getting the wicket. Sarbajit Ladder, sorry. 4 from it and a wicket. 101 for 7. Interesting decision now for Jaskar Malhotra. Who does he go to for these remaining 3 overs? Expect Dill to bowl 1. Rusty Theron and Calvin Savage, the 2 seamers, have bowled out. But Dogum has only bowled 1 over for 5 runs. Similar to Ali Sheikh, who's also only bowled 1 over. And interestingly, Ali Sheikh had off his cap, was coming to bowl, but Malhotra's gone for Dill. Is he going for the kill?
Interesting. Maybe he would have to be going for the kill because let's say this over doesn't concede or he doesn't take any wickets. All of a sudden you'd be looking at going into the last 2 overs with just spinners to bowl. So you'd like to still have an over from a pacer up your sleeve at this point if you're Jaskar Malhotra. But of course, captain's decision, he's a little bit more aggressive than many captains, I would think. And so he goes to his big fast bowler, looking to take wickets. That would have to be the thinking, and particularly because it's Matthew Trump who's on strike, who, as I spoke about earlier, is very capable with the bat in hand. So maybe he's looking to knock him over. If he knocks over Matthew Trump, then that you'd think that would put them in the stead of getting a wicket and then getting towards the end of this game as victors.
Came a long way across. There was a long one in place, but it won't carry. And I think they won't mind that single too much. The Knight Riders getting to bowl at the new batter in Aponzo. You can see what's happening there, though, from Justin Dill. Back end of the innings, trying to go very wide and force the 2 right-handers to hit into the offside. So Trump is trying to counter that. Come across his stumps. Bounce. This occasion, wide signals. Dill is not happy. Neither is Jaskar Malhotra. Was it a wide, Brian?
From our perspective, Emilio Ponzo is not a very tall man. I would say he's about 5'7", 5'8", maybe slightly taller than that. But it almost appeared that he had to jump to try to play that. So I don't necessarily have a problem with the call. Now, obviously, the decision to be made with regard to whether or not it's wide It's the judgment of the umpire, of the square leg umpire, when the batter is in his normal standing position, not in his batting stance. So that's certainly something to consider. Jermaine Lindo making the decision that that ball was sailing over the head of Emilio Alfonso.
Another wide signaled. And it's a fine line because you're trying for that wide Yorker. You're trying to get a dot ball and sort of hide the ball. But, of course, there's that wide line to contend with.
Certainly. So those 2 wides will not make Justin Dill feel any better. 3 runs conceded from the over. All runs from here very precious. Just another 23 needed from 17 balls to go.
Advances down the track. This time the arms stay down. So a welcome dot ball for the Knight Riders, but they've already got 3 runs from the first 2 deliveries. They need boundaries now, though. That asking rate has gone up to 8.5. These are the close finishes you want, Brian. It will really test the players under pressure.
And it puts them in the position to be able to show what they can do. More than anything else, shows their mental acuity. Here's an opportunity to show how you handle these difficult situations.
Nicked, but past the keeper. And we mentioned that they need boundaries. Don't matter where they come at this stage.
They absolutely will not care that that came off the edge. Jasker and Malhotra leaping but not able to get to that top edge, flying over his glove and running directly behind the keeper for 4. 4 welcome runs to the Atlanta Fire. You'll see on the replay that top edge just flying over and just outside of the reach, outstretched arm of Captain Jasker and Malhotra.
Well, because it was short, Malhotra started going down the leg side and then had to adjust by coming back across. Wasn't far off, but nonetheless, big boundary in the scheme of this game. Another dot. And this is, I think, Dill, how much has he impressed you in terms of the seamers you've seen on display?
In this game, this innings rather, the seamers have bowled well. I think, with the slight exception of Calvin Savage, who I think has bowled a little too straight. But Dill in particular, 3 overs, 2 for 20, taking 2 wickets and an economy rate of 5.5. I think is bowling really well. It's up to him now to close strongly here.
Another swing and a miss. This time he takes pace off. I just wonder if they don't get a wicket in this over, if Jaskar Malhotra and the gamble would have failed, because 2 overs of spin in these last 2. It's only 19 runs to get. Surely Matthew Trump at the other end has to be thinking 1 maximum, and the game is right within their reach.
You're absolutely right, and that's why I can't understand why Emilio Alfonso is dancing down the wicket, because as of right now, job 1 is to get through this over without any wickets having fallen. I think it's going to be easier to score off of the spinners than it is to score off of Justin Dill. So the job here would just be to make sure that this pair is still intact after this ball.
And pace off again, and they interestingly take the single. Surprised Trump went for it, but maybe he trusts Alfonso. He has played a few cameos in the past. The Sri Lankan, end of 18, is turning out to be a cracker. 18 to get from the last 2. 109 for 7. Well, you talk about opportunity and a real chance to show what you're made of. Akhilesh Badogam, the off spinner, 1 over, 5 runs conceded. He's now got a bowl, arguably the most important over of this game, the penultimate. Had a very good first showing yesterday. Was very economical, very quick through the air, was hard to score against. Needs all of that now. If Alfonso can just get hold of him, especially with the offside being the much smaller side, and the win assisting as well. Small margin of error.
Boy, Akhilesh Bogodum bowling the 19th over. In these situations, you usually give the ball to your best bowler, and that best bowler is usually a seamer. So you're going with spin here, mostly because you don't have any more pace options. What you're trying to do here, if you're Akhilesh Bogodum, is get through this over, having conceded around 7 or maybe a run ball 6.
Mid-off in the circle. He forces Alfonso hit into the onside. This is a very brave move from Bodogum. He's got mid-off up. He cannot now afford to miss his length or line, to be honest.
Absolutely. In fact, I'd say more so the line than the length, because anything that is too wide outside off opens up that scoring opportunity through mid-off.
I've also been told that because they're behind the over 8, they've had to add an additional fielder inside the circle. So that's why they've only have 4 fielders outside. Deep cover and 3 on the onside. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. How costly could that be? Excellent from the tall off spinner. Very quick.
Fires that one through at pace. He is an off spinner, but that one came through with a certain amount of pace. We had that speed gun that Peter De La Pena referred to earlier. I think you'd see that one around 100 kilometers an hour.
Getting into the pitch and hard to hit. These are a valuable 3 deliveries so far.
17 runs adrift are the Atlanta Fire. They only have 9 balls in which to get them. What a brilliant over so far by Akhilesh Bogodum. It is going to be really incumbent on him to finish strongly here, though.
Another dot. This is turning out to be a golden move from Jaskar Malhotra to go to the off spinner ahead of maybe an Ali Sheikh. Maybe going for the more experienced bowler in this tough situation. Has to find the boundary though, Trump. 17 now needed from just 8 deliveries. You don't want to put too much pressure on yourself in that last over. Ideally, you want to get it to 12 or less. Just 1. Thought they could have looked for 2 there, certainly, but Trump is happy to set up for 1.
Maybe Trump is trying to be the one on strike for the last over. Potentially.
Well, surely he has to be looking at this offside. Amira Alfonso. The entire field up. But of course, if Bodogum bowls that short length, it's very hard to hit into the offside. Final delivery of the over. Again, very straight and an excellent closeout by the Bodogum. Just 3 runs from the over. And it's going to be 15 to get from the final 6 deliveries in this one. 112 for 7. Just 6 deliveries remaining. Certainly the closest game we've had of the 5 in this MLC Champions Open. It's going down to the wire. Brian, who do you think will be the happier of the 2 teams?
Oh my goodness, the UMMC Night Riders at this stage. Again, at the 15 over mark, they were down and truly out in the first innings, I mean. Ali Sheikh with a brilliant 49, scoring 18, if I remember correctly, from the last over. Dragged them towards a respectable total, and then they fought back brilliantly in the field and with the ball. So Ali Sheikh himself has the ball in hand, and all his assignment is to keep the Atlanta Fire from scoring 15 runs here in this last over.
How fitting for Ali Sheikh. The man who did it with the bat in hand has a chance to win it for his team with the ball. Was player of the match yesterday. Could he get another one? This is some talent. 15 to get. It's been thumped. Does it have enough? It does. What a way to start the over. Maximum, and all of a sudden, the tables have turned. 9 from 5.
Well, if you're looking to score 15 runs in an over, this is a good way to start. Boy, slapped away by Alfonso. Very straight and sailing away over the head of that fielder down at long on. Now, if you remember correctly, Ali Sheikh starting last night or yesterday, bowling that last over, the first ball went for 6, and he ended up taking 3 wickets in that over. Obviously doesn't need necessarily to take 3 wickets here, but he does have the ability to turn his fortunes around. So I'd like to think that you'd see him bowl a ball that is less hittable than that last one. Just floated it up there on a tee, and Milo Ponce taking full toll of that delivery.
Can certainly see the plan, trying to force Aponzo to hit into the offside, but because it was so slow, it gave him enough time to just hit it exactly where he wanted. And all of a sudden, it looked like it would be a mountain to climb. Aponzo, with just one hit, has brought the game back into the favor of the Fire. And that's the problem. When you only score 126 runs, always tough to defend.
Well, bearing in mind that the last 5 balls that were bowled by Akhilesh Bogodum were bowled at pace. In other words, didn't flight it, pushed it through. I would think that Ali Sheikh would make a similar adjustment here in order to keep the Atlanta Fire from being able to get these last 9 runs. I would think the best way of being able to do that is to fire those balls in full and straight and just do not allow the batters to be able to elevate the ball in any circumstance. Bit of a delay here because the replacement balls are being brought out by umpires.
They've had to get a new ball, so it's all happening. Everyone is on their feet. Not sure which way this one is going to go, but you don't want to miss the next 5 deliveries. That's for sure. We thought Matthew Trump would be the hero, but Samila Aponzo, who does have some batting ability, has hit the ball a long way, has done it during the minor league season as well for this Atlanta Fire franchise. One of the few players that have played with the Fire franchise in the minor league and have played with them in this Champions Open, so he knows what it means to get this win and possibly qualify for tomorrow's final. How does Ali Sheikh adjust after that first delivery? Goes full this time. But there is a man there. Just thought he was in with a chance of the catch. And Aponzo's going to be run out. Not sure the thinking there. Another twist to the tail. Not smart cricket, you have to say, from Amida Aponzo. Wanted to strike, but Trump said no.
And I have to say, I agree with Trump. It was hit directly to the fielder coming off of the ropes at long off. And he fumbled it briefly, but immediately regained control of it. So he was able to retrieve it and send it right back in. So not sure why Amilo Ponce felt the need to go running down the wicket, and realizing only too late that there was no chance whatsoever of a second run. And the easiest of run-out opportunities at the non-striker's end as Ali Sheikh whips off the bails and the 8th wicket goes down. My goodness, this game is coming down to the wire.
I just wonder, Brian, if the thinking would have been for Trump to sacrifice himself to get Aponzo back on strike. Don't think it was a bad ploy, but both had to be on the same page. Brings Imran Khan Jr. to the crease.
I think it's rare that you see the more accomplished, at least the more highly rated batter sacrificing himself. I think that might have been the thinking.
Well, he has a chance to show it. He's got it in the gap. They have to come back for 2. Could be more trouble. Was his bat in the air? Jermaine Lindo says no. Keep calm. But very surprised. Trump wanted the second. Imran Khan Jr. said, no, I've got it under control. Newman hasn't faced the delivery as yet. Hasn't batted in this tournament as yet.
If the throw had gone to the non-strikers end, you may well have had another run out because Matthew Trump, looking to get back on strike, was halfway down the pitch. That throw going to the striker's end, and it was a very close call. Here you see on the replay.
Did he get that back down in time? Here he is leaving the crease. That's out. That is out.
Absolutely out. Boy, that bat was in the air at the time that the bails were whipped off.
Straight. Is it straight enough? Excellent piece of fielding. Brilliant. And they're coming back for the second. It's put down. All happening at the Prairie View Cricket Complex. What a piece of fielding, though. Saved a certain boundary.
Oh, my goodness. Did that piece of fielding save the match? Look at that diving effort by that fielder down there on the boundary at long on.
Nitish Kumar, that's why he's at that long on position. Great piece of work, and you really should have had a run out as well. 5 to get from 2. They have to hit a boundary. Bit of mind games. Imran Khan Jr., can he find the boundary? It would even the scorers, or maybe even finish it with 1 hit. Can he find a maximum?
Ali Sheikh firing it in full and flat, you would think.
It's just going to be 1. Matthew Trump says no. And Trump has struggled in this innings, 9 from 13. Can he be a hero and possibly win this game? They need a boundary to win it. And this is set up perfectly for the Houston man to win it on his home ground. First time batting, first opportunity to play in this MLC Champions Open, the youngster.
Matthew Trump, how much will he be aided by the fact that there is an additional fielder inside the circle?
Fine leg is up in the circle as well as third. Does he take the risk of going behind square? 4 from the last delivery. Excellently bowled. Ali Sheikh as a hero again for the UMMC Knight Riders, who stay undefeated in this tournament. 49 with the bat, and then a brilliant last over to close out this game. A star in the making.
I mentioned that yesterday he conceded a 6 in his first over when he bowled the last over of the innings, and then finished that over with 3 wickets. This time didn't take 3 wickets, but only concedes another 5, make that 6 runs the rest of the innings. 12 of the over rather, and 12 runs coming from that last over. But Ali Sheikh does enough to drag his team home with the ball, with the bat, and in the field. Here you see the batting card. 18 is the highest score on that card, if you can believe it. Mukhtar Ahmed with 18. Also Dominic Ricky with that same number. And Emil Aponso run out for 17. But the Atlanta Fire only able to put 124 runs on the board.
And with the bowling, well, a good start from Rusty Theron. It was always going to be a risk, though, when you have your premier seamer bowling out his 4 on the trot. Justin Dill, the gamble, in the end, didn't pay off to bowl his 4th over in the 17th. Both got 2 for 21. 2 wickets as well for Sarbjeet Ladder, who was again brilliant. Ali Sheikh, though, holding his nerve. 1 for 16 in 2 overs. Excellent from the young man. And in the end, the Knight Riders remain undefeated in this tournament and will be in tomorrow's final. Don't go too far. In a couple minutes' time, we'll have match number 2 of today. The Sam Army side taking on the Kingsmen.